Yasama batachinoi, besama yemet nor, semi kades mangustiimta, fegadi besama indionech, endi hu bemedir tihun, yalaten jarachnen sitenzare, bedelachnem ikker belen, igna yebedelnen ikkeren demenil, awada fet namatagban, kakifu adenenen fi, mengist yante antenantena, Haile Maskan Lizleale.
In the name of the African ancestors who began the march of humankind in the womb of Mother Africa, we ask these ancestors to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us, in the womb of Mother Africa, we ask these ancestors to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of the African ancestors who began the march of humankind in the womb of Mother Africa and marched down the Nile, laying the foundations for human civilization and culture, we ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of these African ancestors who built their pyramids and their temples to their God concepts, to their principles, and to their moral values, who left us a legacy of architectural and monumental building unparalleled in the history of the world, we ask these ancestors who built the pyramids, who built the temples, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask these African ancestors who took this African culture and extended it throughout Africa, building the stone cities of Zimbabwe, building the empires of the Sudan, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, building the Swahili city-states along the east coast of Africa, and in Christian Africa, asking King Lalibela and giving him the courage to build the 12 churches of Lalibela from the ground down, monuments to the world. We ask these Africans who spread this culture to the Dogo and to the Akan and to the Yoruba and to the Bankango and to the Zulu. We ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of the Africans who opened up Africa, opened up the Nile Valley to other cultures and other peoples, and they came in and nurtured themselves on the African greatness. First coming in early with the ancient Hebrews, and they synthesized this culture and produced Judaism. Later coming in were the Christians, and they synthesized this culture and produced Christianity. Coming in were also the Greeks, who took the African culture, synthesized it, and produced Greek civilization. And then later, the Prophet Muhammad, and with the Arabs coming into the Nile Valley, they synthesized the culture and produced Islam. We ask these African ancestors, who as part of their legacy laid the foundations for Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Greek civilization, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask those African ancestors pulled out of Africa, taken to the hells of North America, South America, the Caribbean, maintaining the spirit of African humanity in their hearts and in their minds, and who left us this enormous legacy of struggle. We ask those Africans who resisted enslavement in the villages of Africa, who resisted enslavement in the shores of Africa, who resisted enslavement in those forts and dungeons, who resisted enslavement in the holds of those ships, who resisted enslavement when they arrived on these shores in the New World. We ask these Africans who ran into the highlands of northeast Brazil and established for 100 years the first free republic in the Americas, the Republic of Palmares, and their last great leader, Zumbi, whose spirit and sacrifice. We asked these Africans who replicated the Brazilian experience and went into the highlands of Jamaica and became the maroon-free communities. We asked these Africans who went into the backwoods of the Guyanas and Suriname and created free republic of the Suramaka and the Ajuka. We asked these Africans who went into the backwoods of Georgia and the swamps of Florida and moved with the Seminole Indians and resisted oppression. We ask these Africans who left us a legacy of struggle and resistance, the likes of which no one in the world has, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask these Africans who created and laid for us a foundation of struggle and resistance that was passed on generation after generation, that was passed on to Harriet Tubman, who fought her way out of enslavement and became a symbol of freedom for all of us. Similarly, Frederick Douglass and hundreds of thousands of others fought their way out of enslavement. We asked those Africans who went with Boukman Dessalines to create the greatest revolutionary experience in the history of the world, the Haitian Revolution, leaving us a legacy, the likes of which no one else has had. We ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future.
Let us start our class with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Bhagavan Krishna, Avatar Babaji, Larry Mahashai, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, our Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow to all of you. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, great Gurus, receive our love, receive our desire to love you more, to attune our hearts and minds with your great presence. Om, peace.
Welcome once again. You're inside of the Africa Forum, Running African. My name is Kabu Kheru, and we're coming to you live from the Scotch Nyabinghi Tabernacle in Clarendon, and the team is on the ground. Good morning to you, Mutabaruka.
Morning.
I'm not seeing you.
What happened to me? You can't hear me.
I see you.
No, but you can't hear me. You can't hear me.
Good morning to you, Mutabaruka.
Yeah, good morning. And this is the first time I radio station where raise this place here. And as Jahlani just said, it's Iriefm. It is acceptable.
And we have a correction stack that we've broadcast from here on numerous occasions.
With a bingy?
With and without the bingy. But
No,
we've been here.
bingy.
We've been here. Back in the day, we'll talk about that later.
Well, you know, so this is a special day, you know, anniversary of the Coronation of His and Her Majesty that took place 80 years ago.
84 years to be exact. 84 years to be exact. And on the ground is Roger Haspel. Roger, good morning.
Good morning to you, Kabu. Good morning to you, Muta. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Here.
Okay, Roger, so you're in the, what section of the ground is
The eastern section of the end, overlooking the hills and valleys, awaiting the rising of the sun.
Yes, overlook hills and valley, man. We have that right there. That's our specialty. The whole place overlook
Well, I'm waiting to see the rising of the sun over the hills. That's the section I want.
All right, and Ole Matatal. Ole, good morning. Where are you, Ole? Ole Matatal. Ole Matatal.
Good morning. I'm here near the Sisters' Quarter.
Okay.
Good morning. Good morning, Jamaica. Happy Coronation Day.
All right, so the team is on. Our engineer on the ground is Ricardo Powell, assisted by Irvin Dwyer. In the studio, Errington Cuban. And, of course, on the console is Shane Clark. Good morning. Thank you so much, DJ Talia. We're coming to you live of morning until 10 a.m. And, of course, as Muta said just now, this is a historic moment. This is important in that it's the 84th anniversary celebration of the coronation of His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie I, and Her Imperial Majesty, Empress Menen. Lots of persons are gathering already, and some have been overnighting. Muta, this is a significant day in many, many ways. 84 years, I see people tweeting already asking me, wow, we can't believe it's 84 years, but it is 84 years. But this is significant, Muta.
Yeah, well, this is the coronation that is the world face of Africa. We're opening up even Ethiopia itself, because, Ethiopia was kind of isolated country.
Celebrations of the coronation of His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie I, and Her Imperial Majesty, Empress Menen. Lots of persons are gathering already, and some have been overnighting. Muta, this is a significant day in many, many ways. 84 years, people tweeting already asking me, wow, we believe it's 84 years, but it is 84 years. But this is significant, Muta.
Yeah, well, this is the coronation that changed the whole face of Africa. We're opening up even Ethiopia, because, Ethiopia is kind of isolated country.
And even though the Italians went there twice, but it was never really conquered by the foreigners. So when Haile Selassie crowned, it ushered in a new era in African perspective, African politics also, because you know that as a what we call the father of African unity, a lot of things started to happen during his course of reign in Ethiopia. Even when the Italians attacked Ethiopia, it was him that went to the League of Nations, and that speech of the League of Nations was so touching and so prophetic that, as we said, it opened up a whole different perspective of African people, you know.
And we should let you know, listeners know, in terms of describing what's happening here on the ground, that we are standing immediately in front of a tabernacle. I'm standing immediately in front of a tabernacle.
Yeah, I'm standing immediately in front of the fire.
Immediately in front of I was going to talk about the fire, so you go ahead and talk. You talk about the fire.
No, we can't have a celebration with Rasta and fire. You know, if the fire and they have a celebration and no Rasta celebrate. The fire is the center and the core of all of the Rastafari celebration, where the fire is supposed to represent the destruction of evil and the rising up of God. So it is coming way back from Africa, where the Nyabinghi used to burn the fire. And if you even go to most indigenous cultures, whether in America, in Australia, so the fire is always representative of that spirit of strength and vigor. We put all of the thing in the fire and just burn it up.
Yeah, we find a little fire blazing, whether it's in the house or outside, but there's always an altar there that would symbolize and represent that fire, you know.
Right, and we have a crowd, well, let's say crowd, but brethren are gathering, ancestors are gathering in a serious way here at the Scots Pass Nyabinghi Temple. And this is really a very, very good look. And to talk about how some of the brethren are dressed this morning, so that our listeners have an idea of the regalness with which some of the brethren and sisters are dressed this morning in terms of wearing our full white. And standing just to my right is Dr. Jahlani, who himself is all regal in full white. So I didn't get the memo again. I usually don't get the memo for these occasions, but here we are, Jahlani, full white.
Good morning, Sister Kabu. And in spite of the fact you're not in full white, you're quite radiant as usual.
Thank you very much. You can get anywhere. All right. So Jahlani, your first impressions of today, the significance of today.
Well, Sister Andrea, Kabu, I think this production in terms of the reenactment and just the overall interest and the hour of the day has brought us back to the coronation moment itself. If you recall, His Majesty is said to have turned day into night in hosting an event that had people dressed in different attire. They were wearing night attire in the day. Well, we're in the cool sections of Clarendon at 6 a.m. just after that, and the brethren traditionally would come out in full white, which is the Ethiopian national dress, more significant today because we're celebrating this milestone for African people. Brethren and sisters are in their finest attire because this day is what makes us understand the ascension of His Majesty to the reign of power, and 84 years afterwards, it is as though it is happening today in Ethiopia. As far as our presence here and the magnetism that people are showing, I've seen a greater interest from younger people, people in the recording industry, from regular people around the community. It is the kind of attention we should have had 84 years ago to bring this news to the African people. So 84 years later, Iriefm once more has championed the representation of this event in a significant way. So, yeah, kudos to Africa. Iriefm.
Well, you can use it all in the same. All right, let me turn to you, Oli. I'm hearing you. Just where exactly are you, and who do you have there, Oli? Describe what's happening.
I'm actually around the Tabernacle, situated in front of the sisters' quarters, and this is where you have the Mother Earth of the nation, that balance, that Empress Wazua, Empress Menen spirit. So we want to give blessings and morning vibrations to all the powerful room spirit energies and empresses here representing Empress Menen. I was here from last night, and I will definitely say the fire lighting ceremony was very beautiful. I don't think I've ever been to Scotch Pass and seen so many beautiful spirits around the fire and all the wonderful psalms that were read. There was also a guest, a very important guest that came in tonight from Ethiopia. We had the opportunity to hear from, and he told us a lot about Haile Selassie's village where he was born. Gave us some very personal stories on just some of the pain and some of the sacrifice that Empress his mom had to endure, how she had to climb up a mountain for hours and hours right before labor, 2,000 miles above sea level. So if you haven't had the opportunity to come forward, you need to come to Scotch Pass. We're going to be here all day and all night celebrating this wonderful historic Coronation 84.
And as we heard from Jahlani just now, the event is going to be including a reenactment of the coronation itself, and that speaks to the fact that we're here broadcasting at 6 o'clock, because at 7 o'clock, that time, Jahlani, would correspond to when the proceedings actually began 84 years ago. But past Paul, where are you, and tell us what's happening in the eastern section?
Well, over by this section, we have the kitchen, and a lot of food is here from...
Why am I not surprised that Rogers has found the food? I'm not surprised.
Yes, because, I mean, when you're looking at the food stand, it's quite colorful with all the respective vegetables, the red, green, and gold. You know them. Yes. And a lot of people are here as well. Having early breakfast, looking quite good with bananas and yams, Ilaloo, Scalaloo, beans. Yes. It's looking quite attractive. And, of course, the sacraments are up and all in their glory around the place where I am too. And the aroma quite wonderful as well.
All right. We're going to be going through and speaking with members of the Nyabinghi and other Rastafarians and others who have gathered here on the ground. What's happening behind me in the Tabernacle, we will get to that shortly, but at the moment, maybe you can describe what's happening there, Muja. Are you able to see what's happening inside there?
No, I love the fire vibe. Believe me, every time we go out big, I do the fire me at work. Yeah, I do the fire me at work. Yeah, right now. Yeah.
So, Jahlani, maybe you can give us an idea of what's happening there now.
Well, what I gathered is that they're having the final preparations to begin the reenactment at 7 o'clock. It really requires a number of different voices to represent the different texts that were read during the coronation event itself. And while that's happening, there are various insignias which are invested. So I think what we're waiting on the final things we put in place. Of course, there's a red carpet which has been laid for the priests who will be participating, and the carpet takes us to the center pole, which is where the artifacts, insignia, images of His Majesty are. So, yeah, it's really...
And we're not able to see those right now, are we? The artifacts, insignia, etc.
Well, we could glimpse a few of them through the gaps there, but no, they're largely at the altar. So we'd have to wait a while. But it's the inscriptions of the coronation, crown, scepter, orb, etc.
So really, this is a very, very somber moment. This is different from a Nyabinghi. You know, people come to Nyabinghi here, but this is different from a Nyabinghi.
Well, this is the classic Nyabinghi because it's because of the coronation that we would hold this duty itself to honor and represent Pan-African days and starting with the coronation. But I would say that because of the ceremony surrounding the coronation itself, this is the most liturgical Nyabinghi that we have, in the sense that in addition to the chanting and general reasoning that might happen, there has been largely through generations like Ras Iyah V and Ras Iriefm, there has been this morning reenactment which has been happening for over a decade. And it really brings that somber tone, because you are led to experience the commands from the Bible used to make this moment in history inscripted. So yeah, it's my favorite event. It's a must duty for those who take the Nyabinghi duty seriously, because this is really what begins our purpose. And you know, Nyabinghi has a serious intent and purpose.
Yeah, and for those persons who are not so familiar with the Nyabinghi itself, and then much less this, or much more of this, the difference to me, and I haven't been to many Nyabinghis, to the banquet and to some of these events before, is that, and you mentioned the churchical aspect to what's happening here. And of course, we're also feeling that and seeing that. So for persons who have been to a Nyabinghi, experience a Nyabinghi, the difference that they would experience today is what exactly?
Okay, so Nyabinghis occur usually on significant days, and they go from 1 day up to 11 or 21 days, depending on the resources. During those sessions, usually at night, the chanting and drumming continues until daybreak. And sometimes there might be a break for reasoning or to deal with business that is still considered in celebration of the purpose. The fire, the prayers, the Bible reading, and all of that complements that purpose of uplifting righteousness and, you know, keeping evil at bay. Now, for this being a celebration, because of what happened in 1930, we have the accounts of National Geographic, which actually gives us the text. And if my memory serves me correctly, that service lasts for a little over an hour in trying to go through the texts and the various investments. So in a sense, you're seeing, you're taken back to the coronation itself, because as the various items are brought forward, we are given the full complement of words and actions that go along with it. So yeah, this Nyabinghi, in my mind, as part of the history of Rastafari, is what really establishes the ceiling as far as where the growth of Rastafari as a new world religion can go with its own formation of ritual and significance, finding what it needs and bringing it into this as a part of our expectation now.
Muta, just before we thank you, Jahlani, just before we go into the break, Muta, we were in Ethiopia together on one occasion, and what we saw, for example, at the church where the Ark of the Covenant is reported to be, in terms of those who are dressed all in white in Aksum, in terms of all those who are dressed in white, and the kind of a somberness that we saw there. It's because you're a little bit away from a tabernacle, you might not be getting that vibe, but this is something right here.
What you understand of the white thing is really a national.
Yes,
the
we
national
understand that.
Ethiopia.
We understand that, but just to paint a picture for those persons who are not here.
Yeah.
Yes. That this is what is happening in the tabernacle.
Yeah. Well, the tabernacle is the center where it takes place. You know, I mean, usually at a Bingi, the fire is the center of what taking place, you know. But as Jahlani said, this is kind of different kind of thing, celebration. You wouldn't really classify it as a Nyabinghi per se. It is really the celebration of Her Majesty's and Her Majesty anniversary. So it takes onto itself a different kind of perspective and different kind of ritual, you know what I mean? So what we're going to find today is mostly taking place under the tabernacle itself.
All right, we're going to go to a quick break. When we return, you'll hear more from the persons who are gathered here at the Scots Pass Nyabinghi Tabernacle. Quick break, we'll be right back.
JN International Money Transfer. Safe, convenient, affordable. The time by JN Money Transfer is...
Time on Iriefm is now just about. Thank you so much for that, Shane. Right on me, 6:26.
My name is Renford Montagat from St. Anne. I was diagnosed with kidney.
Live from the Scots Pass Nyabinghi Tabernacle on the occasion of the 84th anniversary of the coronation of His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie I, and Her Imperial Majesty Empress Menen. And standing with Muta, or sitting with Muta now, I see that. Yes, and Clinton Hutton. Yes. And standing with me, Ras Iyah V. So,
the High Priest.
High Priest, Ras Iyah V. So, since Ras Iyah V rushing, let me talk to him quick, Muta, and then you talk to Ivy and Clinton. Ras Iyah V, greetings, my brother.
Blessed love, Kabu, blessed love, we give thanks. A special morning.
It is a very, very special morning. Give us a quick idea of what is going to unfold here today.
The coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie I will be reenacted. We will present all the 7 symbols of the coronation with all the relevant psalms and all the relevant scriptures that was read on that morning. So we will just relive the moment of Sankofa back in time, November 2nd, 1930.
All right, and by reliving the moment, when you say presenting the 7 symbols, for those who don't understand, explain what that entails.
It entails the bestowal of 7 ornaments of the coronation. You know, the king was invested with his vestments, the sword of state, the scepter of his kingship, and the triple crown, 2 diamond-encrusted rings. These are symbols of the coronation, and he received them in 7. As the coronation ceremony was started at 7, and he invited 700 distinguished guests, and it took 7 months to prepare.
All right, we're going to see that unfold. Persons are already asking me on the social media if we're going to be streaming this live, and I must apologize that we didn't plan to stream this live, but we're going to create as best as possible through sound what is going to unfold. So you're going to have priests here who will be doing particular different elements of the reenactment.
Certainly, as it was 1930, you had 49 devout priests and monks from all parts of the empire, the Abuna, coming as far from Egypt to Ethiopia to crown a black family. That was a phenomenal happening back in the day when race hatred was so rampant, and to find representatives of the world, great representatives of monarchies, white monarchies, coming to Ethiopia, that remote corner of Africa, to pay homage to a black king, a black queen, and a prince. That was phenomenal.
Phenomenal is the word. Thank you so much, Ras Iyah V. I will talk to you as the morning unfolds right here. Muta with Clinton Hutton and also Iyah V. Muta.
Yeah, you know that in the celebration, very interesting to know that at the time when Haile Selassie was crowned, it was the Coptic Church that actually was the ones who participated in that coronation, because the church was not nationalized. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church was not nationalized. So it was Haile Selassie who moved the church from Egypt and nationalized it into the Ethiopian Orthodox Church in Ethiopia. So it's really the Coptic Church that actually did the ceremony in Ethiopia and not the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. We have to remember that, because we don't want to miscue up the history.
Yes.
You know, the history says that Haile Selassie nationalized the church in Ethiopia, and it became the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So the Ethiopian Coptic Church, after the nationalization, it was not defined as the Coptic Church anymore. But during the time of the Majesty coronation, it was the Coptic Church that actually laid the foundation for that coronation. And we have Iyah V, so my brethren from almost about 50 years, I know. A lot of time Iyah V, the symbolism here and the reenactment. We know it has been done over and over again, but why you think it is necessary to actually do this?
All right, give thanks. I want to say greetings to all the listeners. Greetings in the name of His Majesty Haile Selassie I and in the name of the Empress Menen. But why it is important? It is important from the Nyabinghi and the Rastafari community point of view, especially where our youths are concerned. Because when you see something visually taking place, it tends to sink into you more than if you hear it. And even for the people coming and witnessing, our reenactment and reading it, for example, me have the National Geographic magazine, the June 31 publication. And, educated and intelligent people know, say, National Geographic, not going to just get up and just publish something that don't go so. So when I read all them things that, when, Kyrillus, the Catholic Church, I go say, ye holy priests and ministers, ye nobles, look ye upon our empire as, people know that. Yes. You understand me? Then people, you don't just go out and write that. So the reenactment is important because it helps to educate our youth. And even a lot of Rasta people coming here because they have never taken up a book and read about the coronation. Because they know Muta. That's why I and I will come up and say Rastafari. But a lot of I and I don't read. And some who read don't really know. But it is important from an educational point of view.
Historically, we hear the title of Haile Selassie when on the throne, and people must understand also that the name Haile Selassie was given to him at birth. It's not when he was crowned, say, because we have a Christian name, it's a Roman Catholic Church Bible like this. But I don't have a Christian name.
I know it, Muta, don't worry, I know it.
If I use a Christian name, I keep it like spice, man. It's a look at the other part, no document.
But Muta, talking about christening name, my christening name was spelled wrong and ended up being an African word. Yes.
You're fortunate.
I better tell you.
Anyway, what it is that at birth, he was given the name from the church. And then his parental name was Tafari Makonnen. And when he ascended the throne as defender of the faith, it now become apparent that them use the name Haile Selassie the first. And the titles, which a lot of Rastafari, brethren and sisters, and even people hear these titles and wonder where we get these titles from. I believe it's just Rasta, I read the Bible, and I say, them I call him when them see Jesus Christ's name in the Bible, not knowing that these titles is representative of the lineage of the emperors of Ethiopia, so speak to that, right? Like the Lion of Judah.
Okay, well, the history of the Solomonic lineage in Ethiopia goes back 3,000 years. And it's a fact that the emperors that were crowned, even before Haile Selassie, were given the titles King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Conquering Lion of Tribal, Elect of God, Light of Israel, and so on. But it happened just that it is only in Ethiopia that you see anybody from any dynasty having those titles, right? I mean, it's biblical, but at the same time, the average Christian out there, you ask them who is I refer to them, and I tell you Jesus. But at the same time, Jesus, our Christ 2,000 years ago, Yeshua was never crowned King of Kings and Lord of Lords, or the conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. These titles are only in Ethiopia over the period of the 3,000 years since the Solomonic dynasty,
And we must understand so that the Ethiopian maintained that dynasty linked with David. Even though there was a break over a period of time, the Zagwe dynasty, but it catch up back and they still relate to their emperors as descendants of the Salah. That's why the Lion of Judah represents the Judaic dynasty of David and Solomon, knowing that anybody who is from David is Judah, since David was the second king, but the first from that tribe. And then Israel maintained that lineage as the emperors. And Haile Selassie now is the 225th king, according to the Ethiopians, from that dynasty where they say Makeda went and visit Solomon. So it carry on the link. So a lot of people hear Rasta say these things. I believe say just Rasta and the Ganja say, and not just historical references. And the Ethiopians maintain that too. It's not just, it's there we get it from. It's not like we come make it up and then it spread. It was there and as we come unroot it and realize it. But we need something to continue, the continuity of history. And we decide that we want to use that as our perspective in history.
Right. And it is important, Muta, that one look at it can relate the theological aspect to the historical aspect, right? Because, like we say, Christians related to a non-existing something, right? Now, the fact that we now come see Haile Selassie, we must also remember the role that Haile Selassie played along with Ethiopia in the whole liberation struggle of African people, right? And that is why it is so important to to honor even the coronation, because remember when Haile Selassie was crowned, basically the whole of Africa was under European colonialism, right? Ethiopia was the country that stood out and had its own monarchy, maintained its own sovereignty, was an independent state. Ethiopia now had inspired, under the leadership of Haile Selassie, have inspired other states to become independent to the point that the OAU could have been established in 1963 with 32 independent states. So we have to learn, and that this is where a lot of educated people, and we give thanks to the university youth and out there, they can interact with history. Why? Because it is important that we can tie in and say, look here, and a coincidence, and a coincidence. There's so much things biblical, Muta, where historically I have seen it fulfilled. Can't go in order it, but there are a lot that I have seen.
I must recognize, I will go back to the title. What Mr. Houghton, with the camera said here. You don't leave your camera here, the camera is this man, I have him soul, All right. We must recognize too that this title, where most Christians hold upon King of Kings in the name of Jesus Christ. We must recognize too that in Ethiopia there are many kings, but the emperor is the king of the kings. So it's not like we are used something outside to grasp the whole lampan. This is something that is indelible in Ethiopia, that many kings, the emperor is the king of kings. Many queens, the empress is the queen of queens. You understand? So when you hear Rastaman say king of kings, it's not something out of spoken. You understand? It's something that is indelible from them time there. The Lion of Judah, that lion represents the power, and the Judah represents the tribe that the Ethiopians claim that their emperor descended from. Thus the Lion of Judah.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah. Muta, I'm going to interrupt you because we're not streaming live. And for our listeners to get a view, get an idea of what I am looking at in terms of you, Ivy, and Dr. Clinton Hutton
in front of the fire.
In front of the massive, a big fire, sitting on a tree stump, on a massive tree stump, and just holding a fire, and the brethren was standing around you, and the smoke, and I'm seeing you through the haze and all of that. It is really a beautiful morning and a beautiful sight.
This is what Rastafari philosophy developed from.
Yes.
That evening at the shanty town, even at the jungle, it's the same way them used to sit down on the tree stump or anything where them could have find and burn a fire, have them chalice, and reason that even though them was in the worst part of the city, them could have still look at somebody and say, love my brethren, love my sister. I wonder how people shall not suffer so and still have so much love in them heart.
I want somebody to take Dr. Clinton on camera and take a picture of that so we can get that view.
You know what Clinton is a picture.
Clinton must be in the picture.
Clinton no picture we take it.
He has one.
No, just say, she wants somebody to take your camera and take the picture of the tree away that you can be in. That you can be in the picture. Yeah. Clinton.
It is a beautiful sight. Yes.
Come over here, I can't stretch with him. As a man who university man and professor and all them things there. Oh, the eyes in it. So the eyes.
So, well, the coronation of His Majesty, I would regard as one of the most important historical events in the last 500 years. And you rank that with the Asian Revolution, because it is one of the premier events that cut a path to the aspiration of black people who have been enslaved in their millions and colonized over the last 500 years. And so this event that we are now celebrating today, the 84th anniversary of the crowning of His Majesty, actually is a trigger for the creation, if you will, of the Rastafari movement from the early 1930s with Leonard Howell, Robert Hines, and the others, and which is now a global movement, without a doubt. In fact, one of the most important developments of the 20th century in terms of a spiritual movement is without a doubt that. And every corner of the world that you go today, you see Rastafari. And you mentioned earlier about the philosophy of Rastafari, of love, in a context where it was it and the subordination of Africans. That was the order of the day, and yet Rastafari could pronounce to the world, love, trust, freedom.
Yeah, you know, there's a song by Bonnie Wheeler named Black Heart Man, where the Black Heart Man song show you how one, like for instance, we used to look on a set of people and despise them, and then you actually become the set of people who is despised. You know, in relationship to how they used to view the Rasta man, him live in the jungle, him live in the gully, or the lonely part of the country, and then now you come realize, but you is the one now who come out of that and become Rastafari right now.
Right. Classical song. Black Heart. The album generally, I regard as.
Yeah, but the Black Heart Man, the Black Heart Man is the man.
Yeah.
The Black Heart Man is the man that is despised. And because them how people look up on black, when a person comes and say him heart black, it's like he's supposed to be the most evil person. But now come recognize how important it is to have a black heart. You know, it's even more than a red heart. My heart is black. Nobody can tell me.
You don't have a color problem?
No, I don't have a color.
Everything is black. But I'm going to go it. You are just 15 minutes away from actually going live to the Tabernacle to carry as much of the reenactment as possible. And so I want to throw it to Roger and Oli Matatal. I'm not quite sure who they're with. Oli?
Yeah, I'm actually here with Prince Fagan, who's with the School of Vision, and he's going to talk to us about the unity right now, because there's a lot of mansions, different sectors of Rastafari being represented, and he's going to talk about the beauty of that and how important that is.
Well, actually, it is very significant at this time for the reunification of all the mansions, as it is expressed by the Emperor, by the Psalms, the whole of good and of pleasant it is for I and I to dwell together in unity. So the occasion now would mark 84 years in commemoration of the 2nd of November 1930, the crowning the King Rastafari, Haile Selassie, His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, King of Kings and Lord of Gods. So today it is significant that all the mansions that are invited are actually here. And the unity is needed because there's so much complexity and differences amongst us. But this occasion here would provide a proper opportunity to reason out the matter in celebration.
Now, for those who are not really familiar with Rastafari, just tell us what those mansions are and just a little bit about which each one represents.
Well, I represent School of Vision, which actually is a Bible school. They don't all accept the same doctrine, and we don't all operate on the same doctrine. The School of Vision now is a baptismal order seeking to sensitize even the mansions at large the necessity for baptism in this new name, not Jesus Christus then, but Emperor Haile Selassie I now. So we want to express that.
Oli, I'm going to cut into you just to say a good morning to Sister Mitsie who passing because she's elusive. Sister Mitsie, good morning.
I am blessed. I'm very blessed to see Iriefm here this morning.
I'm very blessed to see you. How are you doing?
I am blessed. I mean, it's an island-full occasion. We're happy to have the family out like this. I just went to bless up Priest Fagan, who Love Vision came to celebrate with us.
And he was talking just now to Oli about the unity and the amount, the different houses and mansions that are represented here today.
We tried our best to make that happen. We wanted the coronation to be a celebration of Rastafari, because when Haile Selassie was crowned and the world recognized that and African people recognized that and Rastafari came to acknowledge that we weren't separated in mansions at that time. So this is an islandful moment now to bring us forward together.
And so this will be happening at Scott's Pass today.
Can you imagine? And Kabu, I'm really, really happy that you made the effort to be here because this is historic for us. So from now, we can just see us moving forward and just rising higher within ourselves. So I'm happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here, Sister Mitsie. We see you before the morning is out. Only I'm not quite sure if you're rapping with Sweet Fagan, and should I send it to Roger?
When I'm here,
okay.
Kabu.
Yes, Roger, go ahead.
Yes, very significant and symbolic day in terms of what is happening now and to see... Kabu still on the food? No, I'm at the southern section now. And I'm with a bridge with a powerful name, Ras Iyah. He is the caretaker for the place, and he'll just give us a little reasoning about the whole symbolism of today, the gathering and the overall atmosphere as we are here this morning celebrating the 84th anniversary of the coronation of His and Her Imperial Majesty.
Just before he does that, Roger, Shane has to go for a break, and I'm wondering if we should do that because in 10 minutes time everything's going to start in the Tabernacle. So, all right, so let us take a minute or two from Ras Iyah, and we throw it to the studio and come back so we can take as much of this time.
Yes, Ras Iyah, yes.
ATL Automotive Limited, your authorized distributors for Honda, Volkswagen, Audi, Jaguar and Land Rover, is open on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The time by ATL Automotive is
10 minutes bumping up to 7 o'clock. Thank you very much, Shane. We are coming to you live from the Scots Pass Nyabinghi Tabernacle, where we are today celebrating the 84th current anniversary of the crowning of His Imperial Majesty and Her Imperial Majesty. Back to you, Roger.
Yes, Ras Iyah, I want you to tell us about the overall symbolism of everyone gathering here this morning in this celebration.
Yes, a special occasion to the crowning of His Imperial Majesty, Empress, the Imperial Selassie, Empress Menen. And this is a special day because we always have a gathering like this in Montego Bay. And today, for the first time, we have a gathering like this, celebrating the coronation of the King in Manchester, Scotland. So we give thanks. It's a great moment.
Yeah, man, and significant that you're also on the border of Manchester, Clarendon. What is happening right now?
Well, right now, we're having the ceremony going on right now towards the King. Ceremony is going on right now. The people are gathering in the Tabernacle. And we are giving our praises unto the Kings of Kings.
And you're the caretaker for the place. Tell me quickly about the entire environment around here.
Well, from 20 odd years ago, I'm on this ground here as a caretaker, keeping the compound officially clean and keep everything in order. That is my duty, to put everything in order till the birds them gather.
Yeah, powerful name, Ras Iyah. Back to you, Kabu.
All right, thank you very much, Roger. Just a few minutes before we throw it to the Tabernacle Moja, but many houses of Rastafari are represented here today. Persons from academia, as we're seeing, I'm very happy to see Dr. Herbert Gale, who was just here. But a vast section of people here, Muta. This is good considering that we're coming out of a period where we were talking about a lack of unity. As Sister Mitsie was saying, this in itself is another manifestation point in terms of going forward for Rastafari.
Yeah, well, we always talk about unity and uniformity, and sometimes because people don't hear the Rastafari movement building hospital and school and clinic, them say it's that we should have do. But it is even more than that, really, because the soul of black people is so lost that right now just for evil admitting is African is a big problem in Jamaica. So you can see where the Rastafari have to start from, and we know where we go still, but for gather the people them in a one consensus. And the first thing to say is that, yeah, me is African. It's really a struggle in itself. So can you imagine now if we don't have a certain kind of liberation in ourselves? And we decide now, say, boy, right now we have to start about build hospital and everything there. And pure sick people who say them an African or who don't know them African are going to the hospital, which is really a problem. So the education have to continue. The education, Rastafari have to continue that education because even youth themselves who are the Rasta right now don't even know nothing about Rasta. You understand? So this auspicious occasion, it's one of them occasions where you have to visually show the people them. And as I said, the cross-section of people is very significant and important because it's not only Rasta there. And we should say, really, one's interested to find out certain things. We know one's the righteous or no. We ask questions, we say, well, I would really like to find out. We don't really say, I want to ask about that. And this is a good place to have them questions, the answer, you know?
Exactly. A really beautiful, very, very beautiful day here at the Nyabinghi Tabernacle. Dr. Herbert Gale, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm there. How are you?
Did you overnight here? I thought so, because you couldn't come so early without overnight. What are your thoughts on what's unfolding?
They don't me come here, I never overnight.
No, you never overnight. You drive from far. What are your thoughts about what's happening here?
It's absolutely beautiful. I think this is my 11th year. So, Montego Bay to here. And a lot of people have been comparing the transition from there to here. But, I mean, watching the students get a chance to experience, in that coronation. It's absolutely for them a privilege.
And you have your students again with you this year?
Every year.
Wow, brilliant. All right, having seen 11 years of this, and this was 84 years since the coronation, it means that you've been looking at Rastafari seriously for many, many years. What do you think about, Mocha just talk about people want to see Rastafarians in hospitals, etc. What do you think about that aspect of the development of Rastafari in Jamaica?
I think the modus of Rastafari now is basically like getting into a second gear, because we've seen the push for black identity, which has been largely achieved throughout the world because of Rastafari. What we've seen now is a kind of economic movement of a number of persons within Rastafari. Of course, also the educational movement and taking a claim within society to create leadership within the mainstream of society. We've also seen the ear change among mainstream people, the sister lots and the twists and all of these, helping people to further appreciate the fact that you don't have to go the cream and so forth. I think one of the things that a lot of persons, especially Rastafaris who are academics, are concerned about is the economic standard of Rastafari children and the future. And therefore I think that any commercial area, not talking necessarily about commercial that is overly aggressive and barbaric, but in the sense of expansion would be welcomed among Rastafari.
Thank you very much, Dr. Herbert Gale. Just 3 minutes before the proceedings kick off here at the Tabernacle. And if we could just lay our hands on somebody who can tell us exactly what is happening here right now. It's not Aaron, no? Aaron, greetings, my brother. What exactly is happening here now?
Articulate around the coronation of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie. I will give thanks for the occasion. Look quite extravagant, and attendant.
Yes, it really looks good. It's a very, very good look. So, do you know who's speaking there now?
I don't know, so the person is Ras Iyah V speaking now.
All right, so this is usually what happens. There is a talk first to the group before what?
Before the actual presentation and the reenactment starts to take place.
All right, so thank you very much, Ras Iyah, and because we want to throw it now, just about 2 minutes. I know that this is going to kick off because they're really taking the time here, and we want to throw it to the Tabernacle so you can pick up exactly and hear for yourself exactly what's unfolding inside of the Tabernacle at the moment. With 2 minutes to go, Jahlani,
I'm here with Sister Ital.
Yes,
from the Nyabinghi, and she's going to talk a little bit because, without His Majesty, you also have Her Majesty, and we want to honor Empress Menen. She's going to talk today about how important it was for Haile Selassie to hold the ceremony.
All right, Ole Matatal, I don't think you have the time because we have just a minute to go in to the Tabernacle, so 30 seconds?
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes. The importance of the coronation. It is very important because this is what we tell the world. This is the only proof we have to let the world know that. All right, we're gonna interrupt Ole and just flow this now to the tabernacle.
We got to witness the majestic ceremony. The dew, as the psalmist said, is like the dew of Hermon that descended upon the mountains of Zion. And it was clear to all that nature was in harmony with the emperor-elect who had worked incessantly from childhood, then as governor, as regent, as king, and was now to be crowned the King of Kings. At 7 a.m., the emperor, followed by the imperial family, entered the 13-sided cathedral of St. George's and took his seat on the throne. From the Holy of Holies inside the cathedral came the pulsating vibration of the ancient drums, and it accompanied the harmonious and heavenly voices of a number of priests chanting the solemn chants. The ceremony had begun, and all stood in awe and reverence. A bishop then commenced a timely repetition of the words of the 122nd Psalm.
All right, so what we're hearing is actually coming in live from the tabernacle at the moment as the brethren are gathered, priests and all who will be reenacting the coronation. But at the moment, it is Nyabinghi, the sounds of the drums of Nyabinghi.
Yes, the harps. The harps, that's the traditional name over here, this side of the world as well, you know, and that means the harps on the bass, to the kids, to the repeaters, all in harmony, and the voice, that's all.
Had begun, and all stood in awe and reverence. A bishop then commenced a timely repetition of the words of the 122nd Psalm. I was blind when they said unto I, let them go to the house of the Lord. I think we're standing in the gate of our hinterlands. And it's going to be that come back together. When the child goes up, the child of the Lord, and the testimony of our grave. To give thanks and eyes unto the Most High, Rastafari. For there can show that judgment. So we have the house of greater David. I must pray for the love of Jerusalem. The most prosperous lover. People in our world and prosperous their policies. Find our brethren and our companion peace. I will now say peace. Because of the house of the Lord, O God. Rastafari. I know, ever speak thy name. Baba Janai. Baba Janai. Baba Janai. Rastafari. These uplifting and magnificent words from the psalmist were chosen by the emperor-elect as they emphasized the importance of unity and brought a message of peace, love, and brotherhood among the many tribes of his kingdom. Before the emperor-elect, on a table covered with a beautifully embroidered fabric, were the scepter, sword, and the other symbolic appurtenances of the coronation. It was already for the venerated services of anointing, and to make us supreme vow as head of state in continuation of a dynasty which had its beginning before the flood. His Holiness, the Abuna Kheru, a man of small stature, had traveled from Egypt representing the ancient Alexandrian Coptic Church. He stood in reverence with his cross held to his chest and seemed ready to perform his sacred duties. In a beautifully adorned altar before him was a gold-bound volume of the Holy Scriptures, the Book of Oath, the 7 sacred oils of anointing to be used before the bestowal of each of the 7 symbols of the coronation, and the censer from which smoke arose and fumigated the cathedral. Beside this altar stood 2 young deacons who looked like guardian angels, ready to assist their superior. The Archbishop exhorted the people to be loyal and obedient to the Emperor, the elect of God. As he stood in his priestly vestment, his voice echoed the word. You princes and princesses and ministers, you doctors and chiefs of the clergy, you professors and priests, you nobles and chiefs of the army, look ye upon our Emperor Haile Selassie I, descended from the dynasty of Menen I, who was born of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, a dynasty perpetuated without interruption from that time to King Saul, Selassie unto our time. To him you shall give all obedience, not only in deeds, but even with your heart. The proclamation by the Abuna was received in perfect silence. He then placed his hand upon a gold-bound volume of the Holy Scriptures, which seemed as if it was in existence from the time of Enoch, and turned towards the throne of the Emperor, asking with a stirring voice, Do you, Haile Selassie I, swear to uphold with all your strength the holy faith of the Alexandrian Church, which you know from the time of the holy kings Abraha, Hadshah, have been in existence and in force? I swear it, replied the Emperor. Do you pledge that during your reign you will handle the populace with justice, kindness, and strength? Do you swear to preserve the boundaries of your empire and the lands of all your people? And will you continue always good works, spreading instructions, both in things of mind and of the spirit, in places of learning and consecrated to this purpose? I will be the righteous monarch demanded of my king. He kisses the Bible, and then affixed his signature to the book in which is recorded all the words of the oath. The Lion of Judah then sat back on his throne. From the shining censers, slowly swung by 2 priests who approached the throne, The sweet aroma of sacred incense arose and fumigated the cathedral and the great tent. Churches of Axum, Lalibela, Gondor, and those of other churches of the empire were uplifted in every corner of the cathedral. The Abuna commenced the recitation of the 72nd Psalm of David. Give the king thy judgments, O God, and thy righteousness unto the king's son. He shall judge thy people with righteousness, and thy poor with judgment. The mountains shall bring peace to the people, and the little hills by righteousness. He shall judge the poor of the people. He shall save the children of the needy, and shall break in pieces the oppressor. He shall fear thee as long as the sun and the moon endure throughout all generations. He shall come down like rain upon the mount grass, like showers that water the earth. In his days shall the righteous flourish, an abundance of peace, so long as the moon endureth. He shall have 1,000,000 also from sea to sea, and from the rivers unto the ends of the earth. They that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust. The kings of the Tarshish and of the isles shall bring presents. The kings of Sheba and Seba shall offer gifts. Yea, all kings shall fall down before him. All nations shall serve him, for he shall deliver the needy when he cry. The poor also, and him that hath no helper. He shall spare the poor and the needy, and shall save the souls of the needy. He shall redeem their souls from deceit and violence, and precious shall their blood be in his sight. And he shall live, and unto him shall be given of the gold of Sheba. A prayer also shall be made for him continually, and daily shall he be praised. Rastafari. There shall be a handful of corn in the earth upon the top of the mountains. The fruit thereof shall shake like Paran, and they of the city shall flourish like the grass of the earth. His name shall endure forever. His name shall be continued as long as the sun. As long as the sun, and men shall be blessed in him. All nations shall call him blessed. Blessed be the Almighty, and his glorious name forever. And his earth be filled with his glory. Haile Selassie, Rastafari. The prayer of the living evangelist creed were now uttered in the prayers of David, the son of Jesse. Can continue. The prayer of the living evangelist were now uttered in low tones by the priesthood.
All right, we understand that this aspect of it might be a little bit muffled for our listeners, but the entire gathering is actually participating in the prayer.
Yes, and in the actual enactment, and it's quite symbolic that a set of people, desolate, don't judge people, far away from the ancient tradition, is here keeping that ancient tradition alive by acknowledging the crowning of an ancient king, an ancient throne that was ascended, and it's quite symbolic as we're seeing now the priests, and they're going through their respective rituals and so on.
For the persons who are standing, because the tabernacle is overflown, in terms of persons who are gathered there, just saw persons, because of his prayer, normally you raise your hand to the east.
Yes.
And we saw that ritual just being performed.
Royal treasurer came forward.
And lots of beautiful Frankenstein.
Brilliant. I could show you back.
Multiplicity of aromas as well.
I need to go. And of aromas is true, and I just saw Muta looking fire. I don't know how Muta looking fire. I think Muta is seeking fire for the incense. As we throw it back to the tabernacle, where the 84th anniversary of the crowning of His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie, and Her Imperial Majesty, Empress Menen. The reenactment of that is actually underway.
There is another reading from the Gospel by a priest who had traveled for days on horseback to be present for the coronation. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah! It's an Imperial Majesty. I will exalt thee, my God.
Angela Rogers, they talk about the priest on horseback. One of my most memorable moments of being in Ethiopia is heading towards the former house of Menen and seeing the ancient Ethiopians, because I'm calling it that, on horseback, just moving through like a Roman warrior.
Yes, I mean, just to see that must be a little bit nostalgic spiritually.
I'm telling you about
it. You know, and that this is an ancient tradition, and nothing. I mean, nowadays we are talking about people who study anthropology and all those ologies and so on. Will know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Let us take it back to the tabernacle.
Although the king assembled, they passed by together. They saw it and stood. They marveled. They hastened away. Here to go to bed. And saying, woman to bed. So breaketh the ship, as we observe, so we have seen the city of the Lord, the city of the King, of God. But is established in her. We have thought of that loving kindness, O God, the midst of the church, according to thy name, O God, so in thy praises, the ends of the earth, thy right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice, that the daughters of Judah is glad, cause of thy judgment. Walk about Zion, go round about Zion. Party with a bulwark, consider a policy, so that they may tell by generation. This time, our God, for ivory and ivory, and we will be, O God, demons dead. As the priest ended the psalm, the look on his face suggested that he meant every word. As he humbly took his place, there came a solemn blessing of the emperor. 10 singers advanced towards the throne, and like a beautiful, melodious songbird, raised their voices in a melody that was pleasing to the ear.
And at this point in the reenactment, in the rituals, the harp again.
Yeah.
Right.
And the flags are blowing, and all are participating in the chant. A beautiful hymn.
Beautiful singing.
Yes, indeed.
Only I know you.
All in harmony.
You are actually where you are getting a whiff of the incense, and I'm here with Mrs. Mutabaruka. And she told me that Muta was actually looking for instance. You know what? Tell her life of Muta go and Mrs. Mutabaruka, Jackie Cohen. What Muta looking for Jackie? Fire to burn the incense and burn out bad mind and bad character. It's written on the tabernacle, you know, picture of bad character stay out. That's the just one in Jamaica where you can't walk with that. So, you know, so where at least you see, so we can sense it, you know. So you walk in there, watch yourself. True. And then you said the incense is burning is what?
Yeah, the incense is purification. It's really, it's just a purification. And sometimes a nice aroma satisfies the sense.
And it's frankincense?
Frankincense and myrrh. And there's something about this frankincense and myrrh why it was accompanied with gold, frankincense and myrrh for the gift of the Most High. So there must be something very special with it. So,
yeah.
Of course, just use it because it can't be bad.
Of course, so we don't want to tell like Muta because the Muta looks fire.
As official fire burning incense holder, frankincense man today. Another name.
Alright, so if you're not hearing Muta on the microphone, is that he's actually inside of the tabernacle. Right, he's participating at a different level.
Yeah.
And he actually took the fire up with his bare hands. So it didn't give us the touch up with his bare hands.
Yes, white clothes fire as well.
Jahlani, how is it so far, Jahlani? How are things going so far?
Very well. In fact, I heard a discussion about the frankincense. It has similar properties as orange and all of those fragrances, mangoes. It's similar to what herb has in there as well. Terpenes that actually have medicinal.
Healing, very healing.
So the use of it is one to create the atmosphere, but it also helps in raising the meditation in a particular way. And it's healing.
And used in many churchical rituals, not just with Rastafarians.
Next to crosses, frankincense is Ethiopia's biggest export in a sense, culturally. So the use of it within Rastafari has become increasingly obvious, especially in our country.
Yes, it's quite symbolic.
In fact, this is the wonderful thing about Nyabinghi tradition, that over the 80-odd years that Rastafari has existed, the elements of Ethiopia have returned to the Nyabinghi. The bonfire is a part of the Ethiopian tradition, that fibers. We have maintained and magnified things which have been done perfectly.
Most definitely so. Ancient rituals being recreated right here at Scots on the mound, because when you get on the mound, you're closer to the fire. This is really a big property.
An ancient tradition.
Practice. And ancient people, because we are our ancestors. This is really a beautiful day. And the sun is coming out over the hill. Wow, this is really such a beautiful day at Scots today. I'm very happy that I'm here, Roger. Right?
Yes. Yes. It's funny. It takes me back to the Ethiopian speaker last night. He said during the birth of Haile Selassie, there were four midwives that gave birth, and it was a wise woman. He said normally would have been like the three wise men, but it was a wise woman. And he said that she wasn't Muslim, she wasn't Christian, she was traditional. And when Haile Selassie was coming to the earth in the human form, each representation of all of the religions were represented through all the midwives that was there to help bring forth this life to this earth. So I just wanted to show, even in this ceremony today, I see representation of all of our different cultures and religions. I see the traditional aspect, I see the Christian aspect, but then also I see the human aspect as a people from all holistic religions.
Most definitely. So Roger, just hold your thought there, Roger. And just before I talk with Ras Manga, let me just put for a quick break. I'm throwing it to you, Shane, to come right back here on the mound at the Tabernacle at Scots. On the ground, the time now 7:39. Thank you very much, Shane. We are coming to you live from the Scots Nyabinghi Tabernacle. It is the occasion of the 84th anniversary of the crowning of His Imperial Majesty the Emperor Haile Selassie I and Her Imperial Majesty Empress Menen. The entire team on the ground here as you rejoin us. Mutabaruka participating at a different level right now inside of the tabernacle. Roger Hansford still with me. Olemata Tal is also on another segment of the ground. Feeling big ground, this is Roger.
Yes.
We talk about the mountain.
Quite spacious.
Yeah, quite spacious.
Yeah.
And we're nearer to the fire than before. And as I said before, once you hit the mound, you're close to the fire. The tabernacle is overflowing in terms of the amount of persons. Okay, here is Muta with the frankincense. Muta, come right here, sir. Come right here, sir. He's walking like a high priest straight out of Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Muta, this is, somebody please stream this live. Muta, this is a good look. Let me hold the microphone in the meantime. Oh, wow. So Muta, what do you call this thing wow, it smells nice.
I can burn about, we know what this smell of the place,
Smell nice.
Right around the tabernacle.
So this is the incense one, like where you see the priest walking with
well, it's not the specific one. We have one, but it's not the specific one.
It's not,
but
this is not the...
serve the purpose.
Right, and so...
Because the frankincense in there, come from Ethiopia.
It smells very good. So Muta, why I want to describe it for our listeners, since we're not streaming, so that for persons who don't know, this is one that you normally see the priest walking around and just singing singing someone.
Yeah, moving incense right around. So we do that too. And when the tabernacle walk right around the tabernacle.
And you see the smoke just rising, but it's really the
nice aroma.
Scent.
Of course.
It's really, put it back here. It's
a very unique aroma in terms of, yeah man, when it comes
yeah, that's why the case was different. That's how Iriefm case.
It was different.
Concrete feet.
It's concrete and stone.
Concrete radiant.
He's in a very deep and highly.
Yeah, that was yeah, so, it's going on quite good, you know what I mean? As you can see, the tabernacle is jump up here now because that is the center of what is happening. And you know, say, the same time when it starts, the same time the coronation starts in Ethiopia.
Right.
And I think it takes about an hour. The whole proceedings in Ethiopia, they take about an hour, you know, so it's really a true enactment.
Can I interrupt you, Musa? Can I just hold up medicine come this way? Don't hold it down this way. Yes, thank you very much.
You come your way, you have to come, so you have to make me stand up there.
Oh, good. Wow.
Yeah, right.
You've been cleared, Andrea. Now all the negative energy is gone. Positive energy.
I never have no negative energy, but cut on here.
Just trying to come back to see your wife first.
I understand you only. But this is really nice. So, Musa, your just impressions of what you see happening here.
Yeah, well, I have to say, this thing used to happen up Granville, and it moved to here now. So it's the same thing, you know, the enactment and the same ritual. And we need to do it every year because every year a new set of youth come. Which I can see a whole heap of youth there now with them pen and paper and them iPad and do this and do that. So it's a thing that they will go home and share with other people and say Rastafari upon a level where they might never have known before.
And that's just a much as the iPad because a whole different way of recording that we're seeing here.
Yeah.
A lot of iPads and a lot of phones and the digital technology.
Yesterday I was at Belmont Academy. 600 students, 600 of them have iPad.
There you go.
I talked to the whole class and I'm pure iPad. They say, right now. Them edit it's like them edit the iPad and them bodies of human beings.
And that is why we talk about citizen journalism because can you imagine when they leave here.
Yeah,
that's be posted on the social media, and that becomes journalism at the highest level.
Civic journalism.
And even one out of the group must go with a different perspective, you know. One out of the group must say, wow, you know, they've never learned about up on that level there yet, you know, and the Coronation of Haile Selassie. You know, people hear about it all the while, but, you know, them you see, I always go back to it, you know. I only but the things that Rastafari say, and do have a historical reference point. People feel say it's we just sit down here and smoke ganja and have nothing to do. And we just make up things. This is a good example of something that was not made up by Rastafari, but have a historical foundation.
They are the keepers of an ancient tradition.
Yeah, so, you know, people must just, you know, you must go investigate, not just sit down back and say, Rasta foolishness. You understand? Because Rasta foolishness now become medical diagnosis for people. Rasta foolishness now everybody talk about sister lactam, brother lactam, mother lactam. Yeah, Rasta foolishness have no people talk about reparation.
Okay, I mean, it can't be that foolish.
No, but you tell me at your work, you see, so I think people go to, you know, the first time you go being able to give it to me, but not
But the whole reparation thing, it's so Rastafari, we learn all of that.
Yeah, man, that's it. The stone that the builder refused have to come now, the building.
Yeah.
You know, so we have now is that, and it's inevitable.
It might not happen, no, but
no, that's what I say now, with enough space at time. If Rasta was so right with so much things, what else is it that Rasta is right with that the people them is looking down upon?
Yes.
Now we have to investigate that. Look, if we tell them about food, we tell them about ganja, reparation, Africa, all of these things we don't tell the people them about. So what else is there that we have been saying that the people them need now to look on seriously?
Love.
Very good point. You know, only matter I hear you in the background, so I know you're there with someone, and I'm not quite sure exactly where you are. But go ahead, because I know you want to talk a little bit about Empress Menen, and that she was also found on this day, the anniversary date, that is. Go ahead, Oli.
Yes, I have one of the anchors of the Rastafari community, Fire Mama of the Nyabinghi. She's going to tell us a little bit about the importance of Empress Menen.
Rastafari. King Selassie V and Empress Menen, and I Father and I Mother of creation. Give thanks for the fullness of creation with the balance of Mama and Daddy. Yes, I just want to tell the world this morning I am feeling so good, wonderful good, to know that Daddy never leave Mama. King Rastafari never leave Empress Menen, our mother. He prove it to the world that he can't work without his wife, and he cannot work without his mother. Mama proved it also, she'll never work without her husband or her father. And we are the children, so we are feeling so good this morning to know, because she can never leave out anyone. Them stand up for the sons and the daughter of life, Rastafari. And because of that, I want to tell the whole world, Mama Empress Menen was such a humble, faithful and true, holy and true to His Majesty. That His Majesty see her worthy that she could chat with him. So therefore, prove it to the world and say, yes, this woman is an example. And that is the footstep that I and I, Nyabinghi daughters and the Rasta woman of creation have to do. Just follow the footstep of I and I, and humble ourselves, love our king man, love our father, love our son, and they also love them mother, love them sister, love them wife and them daughter, and everything will be alright.
All right.
Happy Musa, Emperor Haile,
Rastafari.
Ras Iyah V.
And it goes to the point that you were talking about earlier, Raja, where you talked about love in response to
what else?
Yeah.
Yes.
A real poet tonight, if you say what else, him just say love.
Love, yes.
You know, I mentioned this, and the sister fired us to talk about Empress Menen. We have to understand also that it was a tradition of Ethiopia to crown the empress after, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks after.
Exactly.
It is Haile Selassie who declared the breaking of that tradition by saying, look here, no, we have to crown right now beside me. So that is something that our people need to know, that Rastafari, Haile Selassie I did declare his empress right beside him at the same time of coronation, you know, and that has been written in history indelibly.
And I think as part of this, for those who are oral historians who tell the story of and use the coronation as a marker, that it's our responsibility to ensure that is in the oral tradition.
Of course, we have to maintain that.
Yes.
Balance, very important.
Just in case our listeners are wondering, the proceedings are really going on in the Tabernacle. We want to rejoin the Tabernacle as soon as we're able to. And Boja mentioned earlier that it is overflowing in terms of the persons who are inside. As soon as we're able to, we will rejoin the proceedings, the reenactment of the coronation of their Imperial Majesty live. All right, so we're coming to you live from the Scots Pass Tabernacle. Even as we speak, people are coming in, and it's been a steady stream of persons coming into the Scots Pass Nyabinghi Tabernacle, the grounds area. I don't think anybody else can hold the Tabernacle. So we're just going to have to keep it on the ground.
You know, I want to say something about the idea of a Nyabinghi and how long. There's people coming in now. I have been to, in my life, I have been into Nyabinghi for the last 21 days.
Wow, yeah.
And we sit down there till 21 days.
Wow.
You know I mean? Like,
here in Jamaica?
Yeah, man, Jamaica. But what now is that in those times, the Rasta who did a farm to meet the Bingi. In other words, if you know, so the Bingi is now, and you know, so you want some pop travel, it's a 3 months that they could come. So 3 months before you start to plant. So when you look at the kitchen, food like worries.
Yes.
So everyone who are cook now, them just go to the kitchen and just ask what them want and just go one side below them wood fire and cook it. You know, so that is one aspect of the Nyabinghi where need to emphasize. Is
that still happening in terms of how?
Well, I don't know if man really have, because you see, you have some man now we turn to chips and we don't know where my turn to. They turn to chips, right? You know, you see, so the planted thing kind of take back seat for a whole heap of man now. You know, some man are coming, because them tell you, man are coming in cocos bag, and when you go to boom, it's a pumpkin, cocos bag, vegetable, cocos bag, this. No, but it's a little paper bag.
And I've seen that to Mojan, but what you're bringing us to, and I think is very, very important to stress, is the connection of the farming, the connection of the land and the farming with Rastafari.
Well, if you notice, most Rasta youth when them start inside Rasta, they want to go farm. And that is something where one must recognize, though, that most Rasta youth, know, the first little thing they want to do is farm. And they never really give up in school thing, but they want to go farm. So even that in itself must show them, say, there is something spiritually connecting Rastafari liberty with the earth, that even the little youth, them are come side Rasta. Them say they want a piece of land to farm. I don't have no Rasta youth, they don't really want to plant something.
That is true. And earlier this morning, it was Jahlani, Ras Iyah V, who mentioned the concept of Sankofa here today.
Yes,
the importance of Sankofa.
Yes,
and as you talk about the farming and the extent to which, you know, Nyabinghi would have gone on for 21 days, but that food was and farming was.
I never used to sell to, you know.
I know, that's
never used to sell.
So in the concept of Sankofa,
yes,
that is something that.
Because sometimes you see a man left the Bingi with all a van, and when you see him come back, you see all 2 cocos bag of coconut, 2 cocos bag of pork chow. I mean, all the vegetables were necessary for oil for 21 days. So we just strong in it. Like with them days, me and provide them, I want to use to boil oil. Because I use to boil oil for living, you know. You see the place where them call a place out of Robinson Bay, the name.
Robinson? Strawberry Fields?
No, the place where out of Orchard, man. Right. Where them swing song and swing this and swing that.
That River Park?
No, eh? No, man. Like I got to Robinson Bay, man. I have to remember it, man.
Which one in Robinson Bay?
The seat that I said, no, them good idea. Them build up a big park, you know, where you can go, you know, swing things and...
Oh, Mystic Mountain.
All right, you see Mystic Mountain?
Yes.
Mystic Mountain are where we have our genesis in a Ital liberty in the bush there. We used to stay in the bush there and plant and coconut, and we used to boil oil. I mean, when we boil oil, we come out there with buckles of coconut oil, and we used to sell it for like $1.50. Well, you see, coconut oil now, it's something where when you come a Bingi, you don't have no other oil in the Bingi, no shop oil in the Bingi. That's where we make for ourselves in the Bingi, and them things that we always are straight to the one them.
And it's important that you should mention that area, Muta, because you realize that is part of the Warring River watershed, yes, all of that area.
Where them take
that is now that they are about to give to China.
Yes, yes. No, and that's how we used to there.
That's how we used to there. That's how we there still.
Yes.
So, all right, quite a few young people coming in right here, and well, I suppose, I don't know if they're just coming. So let me find out, and everybody have just what you said.
I can find out, so you see my walk.
I got some young people. I got young people.
Where are you, Oli?
I'm right here. I've got some students from UE.
All right, okay, go ahead, Oli, because we have some right here too. Glenmuir.
All right.
Yeah. All right, yes, go ahead.
I'm here with Sheldon Sharp. Just tell us a little bit about who you're here with.
We're here from the University of the Western Ismona. The course that the students are doing is called Caribbean Culture. Of course, the aim is really to sensitize students about our history, about the history of our creating an identity, because of course that's what Rastafari is about, who we are as a people. And so, yes, we visit all these various sites in the course because We want students to be aware of the norms, behaviors, attitudes of Caribbean people. But Rastafari is very important because of the consciousness that it builds in terms of the work that Marcus Garvey has done, the way Haile Selassie has uplifted the black people, you know, in delivering the people of Africa or the Ethiopians from the oppression that they were undergoing.
So tell me, sir, what are you going to tell the students of you when you go back about your first bingy and celebration?
It's an interesting experience. It's a very cultural experience, which I encourage people to come and see for themselves because Rasta is a part of the Jamaican culture. So I recommend this.
Students and possibly a teacher from the noble institution out of Mayton Junior High. And let me...
Paparazzi.
Yeah, we got paparazzi.
There is all artists.
Yeah.
And good morning. What's your name?
Good morning. I'm Nathaniel Stewart.
You are, I suspect, a teacher there at Glenmuir.
A teacher at Glenmuir High School.
The purpose of these students we're seeing now taking their photographs, filming, and so on.
What we have is there are students from the photography club at Glenmuir High School, and we also have some students from members of the Jamaica National Resolution Project team. The theme for this year is rites and rituals, and therefore they are here capturing one of the rituals of the Rastafarian culture as part of that competition. And the students from the photography club are now being exposed to what happens within the Rastafarian culture, capturing the event, making sure that they get a true impression of what exactly is going on.
And the document of this event this morning is a very important part in the whole ritual studies that your group is going through.
Yes, it is. And that's why we also took one of the students who is doing an IA project, that is for the sixth form, the communication part. So she's here to actually view what is going on.
Who is that student?
She's back here.
Okay. I mean,
I just hear from that student.
Yes.
And
that
also
student was walking away when you say you're going to school. Walking away.
Good morning, and how are you doing?
Good morning, I'm fine.
Yes, and tell me about your overall role in what is happening here this morning.
Well, I came because I wanted to study Nyabinghi for my IA, and they were coming as a
When you say IA, what is that?
internal assessment.
Okay.
Study. Yes. So I came because of that, and they were coming as the photography club. So, you know, it was a nice little, you understand? So I just decided to come and get a personal experience of what it is all about.
And what is your experience so far?
Well, I just came, so.
Okay, and what was your impression before coming here?
First, seeing so many restaurants with the one environment. So it's okay so far as how it goes.
And we'll talk later then.
Yes.
And then I can hear.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your name? And you're from the photography club. What's your name?
I'm Pharrell Wooden.
Are you from the club?
Yeah, I'm a former graduate here.
All right. Have you ever seen anything like this? Have you experienced anything like this before?
No, it's actually my first experience, and I'm really grateful to be here today to really experience what this is all about.
So are you just taking pictures of everything, the fire, Muta, everything?
Kabu.
Everything.
Hey, they've got to today I set up together. I say, oh God, man, the ultimate picture that.
Because you all take pictures, right? Give me a copy now, please.
And the ultimate picture that. Kabu Abuta.
Please email me a copy of Facebook. So here we go again. Glenmuir High School. You're also from the club?
Yes, I am.
What's your name?
My name is Vanessa.
And did you just come in, Vanessa?
Yes, we did.
All right, so you're just coming into, you haven't been to the Tabernacle area yet?
No, I haven't.
What are you expecting to capture today?
Well, photographs will capture anything.
What?
About capturing the moment.
Capture it. Try that.
She says capturing the moment.
Yes,
I know, I can't answer the right to. She says just a moment. Well, it's all right.
People capturing our own.
I don't care.
Yeah, don't hear a picture, right? So don't capture nothing you hear, Vanessa. Just take a picture. Okay. All right, so remember to email us. So what are you going to say to your colleague when you return?
Well, I'll tell them that it's a good experience to come and see what the Rastas do, because, you know, people just think Rastas, you know, they just dress up and whatnot, and to really learn about
a lot of negative connotation.
Do you mind how old are you?
I'm 17 years old.
All right, but these are
she look like a Ethiopian.
What did I get your name? Yes, she does.
She look like a Ethiopian. Yeah.
Say that again?
Pharrell Wooden.
Okay, all Budan. How old are you?
18.
18, very good. And who else on the club? What's your name?
I'm on Gordon.
And your experience so far? I know you're just coming in, but what do you think about what you see so far?
It's a good event. It was something that I would encourage any young person or anyone just passing by Caspas right now to just come out and have a look at what is going on. It's a really great experience.
And how old are you?
I'm 17 as well.
All right, young people and another Glenmuir, right? Hi, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
All right. And your own impression so far?
It's a great experience that I'm glad to get the chance to come and experience Rastafarian culture.
All right, how old are you? 15. All right, 15. These are really some very, very young people. Getting, experiencing, photographing, filming, taking the picture up, all that happening, recording, archiving.
And that's one of the good things of modern technology. I mean, the nowadays gadgets that can be used to capture events like these for posterity, you know. And I mean, to see students here from Glenmuir, which is a noble institution from Clarendon.
All right, Roger, I'm going to touch in right here, Roger, because you see, we can once again throw it back to the Tabernacle, and we're very happy to report that we can take it there. Shane, you can indicate to me whether or not we have to take a break before we go, but I really appreciate if we could just throw it back to the Tabernacle before we take that break, if you don't mind. Take the break.
Now the image proclaim. The tree has cherished my words, and the flock my words. For who can proclaim, and who dispute, and who can recount the deeds of the Lord of Lords? Hail! Hail! The last line. Everything as Father good sins. Everything as he earned, and as made. He sent his prophet to anoint us, Samuel to make us great. My brothers went out to men in Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie, handsome of figure and appearance. They were tall of stature and handsome by their hair. The Lord of Lords chose them not, but he sent and took I from behind the flock, and anointed with holy oil. And he made I leaders of his people, and rulers over the sons of his covenant. So glory be unto thy Father, unto thy Son, unto the Holy Mother Earth of creation. Hail, Selassie! And near this coronation, we are ever living symbol in our heart, that we will always glorify the Lord of Lords and the conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. Hail Selassie!
For itself then step forward in readiness as the high advance from the final coronation. Suddenly there was a splendid outburst of singing, accompanied by the words of the 46 Psalms of David.
All right. At this stage, we are waiting for the final ritual, is it, in this segment, and right after that, into another element of the proceedings, live from the Nyabinghi Tabernacle. Shane, let's take a quick break and come right back. All right, as we said before, coming to you live from the Tabernacle.
I have one of the priests here with me.
Go ahead, Holy Matador.
Priest Kelly, you were actually inside the Tabernacle. Just tell us a little bit about what was going on as far as the coronation celebration.
Well, the coronation is in the commemoration of His Majesty being crowned in Ethiopia within the 1930s. You see? And he crowned in Ethiopia and in coming to Jamaica. It's a milestone of victory for the Rastafari family. within this land here. Because to know that we were subjected and excluded out of the nation that just get independent in 1962. And we were, the Rasta were point to be a sacrificial lamb by the first Prime Minister of this island. See? Wherein Rasta were sacrificed as a sacrificial lamb in that time to give Bustamante that forest as a Prime Minister. Now this coronation here now, it is us forward to the memory and the overstanding of why this Majesty came to this island here, that he could free us from the grips of God and neighbor. The religious institution that encounter us in their independence. So within this movement that is here today, on the 2nd of November, is when Haile Majesty were crowned in Ethiopia with a queen, Queen Menen. So we the Rastafari sons and daughters, we must uplift this day as one of our sacred days, like how within their Christian way they worship the 25th of December. And as Rasta must when go around and gather a virgin and make them know the essentially of what the coronation is all about. So it's a great pleasure speaking to the eye, and may the reader will hear my voice. I am Priest Kelly from the Royal Ethiopian Judah Catholic Church.
Thank you very much. Yes. Could you all hear that from Priest Kelly?
Yeah, we hear, man. We hear loud and clear. We're trying to get some technical things that together.
Yes. And our listeners probably would have realized that we were not necessarily in sync with our studio, but our engineers on the ground have done a very good job. Ricardo Powell and Irvin, thank you very much. And we are back up and running. And lots of young people inside the emotion. These are the young people who came in, and I actually saw them. I actually saw them inside taking pictures, and I thought this is different because I don't think once upon a time you could go in and take pictures.
Yeah, well, as you are saying now, this is not really the Nyabinghi session as such. So that is allowed still, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's capturing a moment in time. So everyone agree on that.
But Musa, Rasta has gotten very technological advanced.
Yeah,
of course, and it's part of it. It's part of the digital conversion. Yes, that is impacting everything that we do, and of course it has to impact Rastafari. Rastmanga, you've been up and down, but
yeah, most of the camera inside of the Tabernacle.
Yeah, man. You know, Muta, I look at them and say, what a thing is, the technology bring the thing that we can record the whole thing without even writing down anything, you know. We have party, we have video, and the world can see the thing happening right now, you know, like it was the same time it was happening 84 years ago. Yeah, man.
it is really, really beautiful. I know we have a lot of flack from people on the internet who say that we aren't streaming. Wasn't that difficult? Not streaming. We're not streaming live. It wasn't a difficult thing to do, but we just didn't do it this time around. But are you streaming?
Well, no, not streaming, but we're recording. You know, but we're telepathically streaming too, you know.
No, the people them can't see to the telepathy.
They can't see.
You gotta come with them to what to do is have the imagination.
Yeah.
The people them shall be cut down. But listen to my man. It needs to
I think it's your one that's taking your feet in a motor. Oh, it's an interest? Okay. All right, sorry.
No, that you say that, no, you see. And you can't sit down. No, but you can't.
I just like to make a disclaimer that I'm still wearing my best because it's fine. I want to give you a thing.
Yeah, man. It's really a pleasure to be experiencing this at this time. And for the youth, them as a notice, all the youth, them back around, we need it. Because the youth, them need to be seeing something visual in front of them. It will create the impact that we need for the consciousness.
You know, when I was their age, 15, 16, 17, I wish that I could have, a group like this that would have taken me to a place like this. I went off searching on my own,
And when I found, I got a lot of flack for it because it wasn't necessarily supported by the education.
Yeah, what you learn. Yes.
So that right, and this is brilliant that the Ministry of Education supports this kind of study. And the Minister of Culture just recently, I think it was late last week, made an announcement about recording the living history, the folk history, and giving incentives for that to happen. We had invited her to be on the program this morning. That she was traveling to talk about that, because I think this is part of all of that.
Yeah, well, obviously, it need to get well, we're not looking for validation still, but you see, sometimes the people them follow the mainstream. Yeah. So we who not in the mainstream as such now, it's still like an underground thing. It just like the music, the reggae music, and just like the ear style, the philosophy which drive the Rastafari community is what needs to come out of that underground thing and come in the mainstream. That people can recognize it for the value that it really is, I mean, it is a valuable situation. I mean, even if I was now Rasta, and I look on it, I say, gosh, man, Jamaican people should have really see this,
And Muta, when you look at Rasta represented, they was the Afro represented back in the day.
Eh?
I said today Rasta represented with the Afro represented in the 60s. So, I mean, nobody can negate what Rastafari has done to popular culture.
Well, they do it. They do it all.
Well, or at least trying to. What is good about today is that I've noticed that many of us are here from the media. Iriefm is broadcasting live, but this is being recorded by other media houses. I'm quite sure reports are going on. Masmanga, which media house are you representing?
I'm with Best FM now. Best FM Nature Table program Saturday 4 o'clock, so we have to have this. It couldn't have and yes, I don't know yeah, as Muta said, the Rastafari culture need to come, and it is on the front line right now because it really carry the whole cultural strength of the people in Jamaica. If Rasta never there and never saw in the thing, why I don't know what I have to do around now.
I totally agree with you. It is really a beautiful day at Scott's Farm. Let me just say that again. The sun, because it's been raining for a few days. I don't know what it is like in the sun. Right, but it's out in its glory, and it's really a lovely, lovely day at Scott's Farm. Ras Carver has joined us. Ras Carver, greetings, my brother.
Give thanks to Kabu.
But I know that you've been very involved, one of the organizers of what's happening here. How do you feel about what has been unfolding, what you see happening here today?
Well, when you put out that much work, even last night up to 2 o'clock I was up. Because one of the symbols just mysteriously missing. And I had to replace it up till 2 o'clock. Yesterday was a very hectic day. So when you see the fruit bear forth from the work that you do, it makes you feel very pleased, man, and encouraging.
And I thank you for calling Iriefm because you called Mutabaruka's show on Thursday, right?
Yes, I did.
Right, and you talked about this event, and it was just on Thursday. That was the first time I was learning about it. And if I wasn't listening to Muta's program, I probably wouldn't have known about it. And so it is because of that call that you made to Muta on Thursday while we're here today, and we apologize that we're not streaming. If we had more notice, would have been streaming and so on. But we had to gather the team at very, very short notice to be able. So thank you very much for that call you made to Muta on Thursday.
Yeah, we should be the one to apologize, because you're a natural part in Rastas letting the world know what's happening. But true, I don't have a direct link with the item. That's why I couldn't be, because that's my responsibility to show Mr. Chatterbox. That's me to go and talk. But it sounds that they were listening, and you see it's necessary to be here today because it happens every 7 years. And it is the first in Scott's Pass, and right now, Moby Dex.
Yes, Muta.
Rob, she's like Kalandria beside her.
Greetings, brother. Greetings. Muta, guess what? We have 3 minutes in this segment, but go on talk. We'll wait for the Supreme Bench of Future Lovers, Super Lovers, and we'll come back.
Yes.
Go ahead, yes.
Rob, she's
Yes, praise unto the Most High, Imperial Majesty, Emperor King Selassie the First, conquering life, tribe of Judah, elect of Light of this world, Holy Manuel King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Happy Coronation, His Majesty. We love you all.
All right. We think that we are going on so now. How important do you think this is to the younger Rastafari region then? Because we know that the ones that come up right now, they might have the word Rastafari and thing out there, but there is a certain historical reference point like this that is necessary and needed. Or you think that should impact the youth right now?
Well, first of all, it is of paramount importance because media tends to distort the truth. You know, the colonial slave masters, they've always been trying to maintain their old tricks of time to keep black people in slavery. And the family of the black nation have a common saying that we tend to lose our culture. So whenever time you got the birthday of His Majesty Coronation, as this one presently going on now, it's good for people all over the world to come and visit and for I and I as administrators around the throne of His Majesty to maintain such precepts, principles and order as it is from that time to this time, so we can see where best it fits in our daily domestic life to lead the people from the colonial way onto the ways of Africa, ancient way. So when you come and you see the three drums, the funde, kete, the bass, you saw the ancient seven priests and you saw people doing the duty of His Majesty. That's the way, that's the procession in giving praise unto the Most High from Bobo Hill straight to Nyabinghi throughout the whole family worldwide. So it is of paramount importance to bring back the memory of the ancient times so we can know where we are this time.
Yes.
Hold on. No, we're not going to break. I just wanted to say that how happy I am to see what's happening, what's unfolding at Scott's Pass today, to see the brethren from many mansions, to see Sizzla Kalanji, to see what's unfolding inside, to see the excited team, to see the brothers from the 12 tribe of Israel, some of them.
That was the one who was carrying the cup, you know.
Yeah, okay.
The most symbolically.
But may I just say personally how happy I am, my brother Sizzla, to see what's unfolding here on the ground.
You hear today?
Yes.
She's very happy that she's here and the other ones, them from a different mansion. Party of this.
You're very welcome. Akwaba.
All right, Musa, we have to take a break for the Supreme Benchers and we come back to you. All right, we'll go to Shane Clark in the studio. Take a break and come right back. Nyabinghi Tabernacle. We are experiencing just a teeny bit of technical problems on the ground here. So, all right, good, great. We're hearing you loud and clear now. Thank you, Shane, for that. We're back. Thank you, Ricky, for that. We're back with you live from the Scott's Pass Nyabinghi Center from the Tabernacle. And Muja, yeah, we did have that problem. Are you not hearing about that? All right. So basically, what has been unfolding here is that the proceedings are continuing. The liturgical and the crowning and the reenactment of the crowning, that is all done and gone. But the proceedings still continue inside of the tabernacle.
You can hear me?
We can hear you, Lord.
I can say something as well, because I'm going to make an observation a while ago. He say, how ironical it is that because you never announced you're going to have a stage show of artists to come. The artists inside there. And this is the core of Rastafari and a very auspicious celebration. And no art, which is instrument.
Yes.
Chronixx is here, Chronixx is here. Ironical that it's ironical that most of the ones
Kelissa and Chronixx to do a chat with.
Let me see, because they were up until so late. I think that's what they're saying now. But I brought another celebrity here, Mother Moses.
I know, I've been looking at her. I know she's my Facebook friend,
Mother Moses,
social media friend. But I thought you were living in Ghana.
Greetings, she's currently that the coronation vibes out to the whole world. And I know it's irony over the whole world, you know? That's what the thing said. Yeah, man, we don't have to live anywhere night catches me, you know?
Well, I'm very happy to see you, though.
Mother Moses is transcontinental.
This is historic, you know? All the mothers are saying that you're transcontinental.
We're citizens because, you know, our Lord is first rightful ruler. So the Rastafari faith has spread all over the globe. And as the Queen Mother and International Ambassador for the Empire of the Ark, which is the Almighty Rastafari Kingdom, it takes us all over the world, you know. So we have to have our bases
all over the world. I'm very, very happy to see, as I said before. I'll say it again. In the 6 regions of Africa. And again, so the 6 regions of Africa, you've been really, really active, really involved in African people's business. Tell us a little bit about that.
And she's at the UN too.
Well, you know, it's what we, you know, in 1990, I was initiated as the Queen Mother, and with the first official ambassadorial duty was to go into Ethiopia for the centenary gathering of His Majesty's 100th birthday celebration. And from then I continued with all different kinds of stuff. You know, I was there in Ethiopia at that time. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. We were there together. Yes. So Rastafari has really been, you know, dealing with the social justice in the world. For example, you know, as of January of this year, I became the statewide prison chaplain for New York State Department of Corrections. And, you know, I'm community supervisor, which is very, you know, this is big because we have over 5,000, you know, brothers and sisters of the Rastafari faith that are incarcerated. So a lot of positive things have happened, you know, since that time. Now, here, they are also celebrating Coronation within, you know, the 60 prisons of, you know, every quarter, you know, that I and I celebrate out here. I thought this, they will be able to celebrate the dream. As I was taking precedent, you know, that was spread to the other states, etc., because it is the Rastafari why the locks can't be locked, you know, touch now anymore, and, you know, stripping and things. How juveniles are treated, you know, when they are incarcerated for you know, solitary confinement or those kind of things. Rastafari is at the forefront of those, you know, changing laws, you know, because of that. We're not taking it, you know. Serious work happening on the ground there. And the only man who's just saying in my earpiece, you didn't hear that you're also the United Nations, or we're at the United Nations. Talk to us about that. I am, you know, the delegate to the United Nations World Intellectual Property Organization. You know, I'm the first intellectual property representative with Marcus Goff. You know, that 2 microphone shut you know, one. No, you know why? Don't want to belong to me. I'm going to show you input on this lady, isn't it? Yes. It's a Delta plane. Some of our names on the plane. Goodness gracious, man. You see, she can take any Delta go anywhere in the world. It's true. And you know, long we have passed, we have about people go to South Africa, she not give me. She more than that's number one employee. No, listen. No, she's the Delta's number one employee. I'm on record. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. No, that's what the pass is secured for South Africa. I want you to come for the Ras Iyah 2014 in South Africa. I want to thank you, first of all, to apply for the leave. I'm looking right at you. I'm not looking at you. You know them up for programs on Iriefm? Yes, I do. Look, I can tell you something. This is not there. You don't know. I really probably don't know that, but it's not there. You own any other plane then, because it could like you own some other plane. Well, you see, what had happened is that I was the first person with locks that Delta Airline ever hired, you know. My credentials got me the interview, and the perfect pinstripe suit and heels and, you know, attaché case, you know, made that first impression. You know, you never get a second opportunity to make a first impression. So I said, you know, of course the locks was conservatively done in the bun and, you know, whatever. So I said, blow them away in the interview and them hire me. Then no, could I let down the lock? And my responsibility was then to show Delta Airlines what they were missing when they did not hire someone that looked like. And the Africa. And the listening now for our young professionals, Rastafarians, and pistol lock wearing young professionals, that there's a lesson there. Yes. Because you talk about expectation and the first impression for the interviews and so on. There's a lesson there, and I only matters are saying you don't have to compromise. And you know what? Look at that about your man. Look at that about yourself. Look at that. I'm going to leave that. No. I'm going to tell you something. She's very instrumental in making Delta travel to many cities in Africa direct from America, Atlanta. I can testify to that. I have been to direct flight from Delta to Nigeria, Delta to South Africa. She is very instrumental in that. You know, I'm traveling to Jamaica, so, you know. There you go, Automatic. You know what we're going to do now? Delta is going to start sponsoring Running Africans. Sponsored by Delta. with the whole mission was to retire with lifetime travel benefits.
I hear that too.
Yes, and I qualified for early retirement with lifetime travel benefits with Delta Airlines. And yes, I'm a family.
If we said Delta Airlines once more, Delta is going to get a bill.
No, but no, not wrong with that. I am part of the Delta family. No, they never know that.
Out of your official.
No, sponsor something for Iriefm.
You're something. So let us talk about your work at the United Nations quickly.
Well, it's about the World International Property Organization, and of course it's about the intellectual property and cultural expressions, because the whole wide world and all kind of culture have been capitalizing now for the Rastafari culture and tradition. So we have, hooked in with the traditional indigenous communities, within WIPO, and had even come up, WIPO had funded this program that they had sent one Maasai that they were training, to help to preserve the culture, and had brought her forward, and Ras Marcus and Marcus Duff, our brilliant attorney, criminal attorney and intellectual property attorney, masters and PhD in it, was there with us. And so the bottom line, we wrote a proposal. That was
we'll come back to the proposal, but I think we have to go for news. No, we have to go for news.
All right.
And so
big views afterwards. Yeah, big views.
Of course, we're definitely coming back to that. We're gonna take a break and then go for the news. And Roger, you're right. You're on the ground. The sports diary is coming from the ground today. No, all right. So there's no sports diary today. Time now for news. We are celebrating today the 84th anniversary coronation of His Majesty, His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie I, and Her Majesty, Her Imperial Majesty, Empress Menen. Standing here with the team. I know Ole Matatal is actually in the kitchen, so we'll get back to Ole shortly. But Muta, we were talking to Queen Mother Moses. She has
somewhere, yes. She can't turn up one place. She's like the bearded cell.
I'm telling you.
I want to come back to this artist thing, that we know that sometime when Iriefm team function, you always mention like maybe 4 artists were there and then 100 artists come, so they want to do a one tune. Now, I realize you never said nothing about no artists, and I realize you can count on one and how much artists inside there. So after hundreds of artists, we say them a rap star, with claim Rastafari on the stage and ball out Rastafari. I tell you, say, I can't count the amount of artists from one and your right as well.
That's becoming the norm.
And we have to, how is that possible? How is that possible that a group of people are ball out Rastafari and make the money off of Rastafari on stage and everywhere? When them have a routine program like this, or any other Nyabinghi function, if them not perform, them don't depend it, them don't come.
And that is why the example set by yourself, set by Chronixx, set by Sizzla, set by Kelissa, who are here today, I think is really a very, very good example.
Yeah, we call out who are there, that's what I say.
But not just we also got to talk about artists. They have to put their money where their mouths are. They can't just sing about reggae music. They got to have built the institutions.
Yeah, but when I say, if them not even coming to a gathering of Rastafari, what kind of institution they put them to be? Them not having nothing.
Especially a gathering, which is the core then of Rastafari,
yes,
which is the celebration of the coronation of His Imperial Majesty. So it's a very good point you make, and I really support you on that point, Muta.
It's distressing because you realize it's a hypocritical thing of one.
Yes,
very hypocritical.
All right, I know that. You're going to try and talk to Chronixx, I know, Muta.
Yeah, well,
and Kelissa, and you just spoke with Sizzla. And I'm walking over. Oh, I know you're at the kitchen, and I'm walking towards Ras Miguel Loin. And
yes, I'm here at the kitchen. I'm here with actually the president of the Rastafari Youth Council, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about why Rastafari embraces eating Ital and why it's going to be very vital. Yes, Gabriel Menen.
Yeah, give thanks and praise to the Most High, His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I. Sizzla Gabriel Menen, representing the Rastafari Youth Initiative Council, you know, so President Chairman. Well, I give thanks for this day, you know. It's the 83rd anniversary of Coronation of his, 84th anniversary, Coronation of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I. And as Rastafari youth are very grateful to the Emperor, you know, because it's a great day in history. With the Emperor crown, it resonates a sense of pride and hope in our people who were downtrodden for centuries, you know. So the coronation of the Emperor Haile Selassie uplift the spirit of the people, especially black people living down here in the Western Hemisphere, you know. So really give thanks to this day. This day is a majestic day. This day is a prophetic day. You know, this day is the fulfillment of prophecies, and you know, when Christ shall return, the seat upon King David's throne, crown King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conqueror, tribal Judah. There's a liberation day for all people of the world, you know. It's for all mankind, you know. So I know as Rastafari youth, we give thanks.
So we're here by the kitchen. Just talk to us about why is it so important to be Ital.
You know, the Rastafari from long time to be Ital is to be vital, you know. I must refrain from picking up all of the threats of the earth and animals and these things and live naturally, you know, as from the beginning, you know, when Jah commanded man to eat fruits and plants and herbs and these type of things. So it's that ancient tradition Rastafari trying to maintain. And has been maintaining that tradition from ever since inception within this part of the world.
So what types of foods are served at the eat?
Yeah, there's strictly vegetarian food. No meat, you know, like Ital stew, you know, natural Irish made from grown provisions, you know, and this type of thing. Ital sip, you know, vegetables, grown provisions, banana, pumpkin, fruits, you know, ripe banana, orange, and these type of things, you know. So it's just everything is natural, you know, just natural.
All right, you heard it right here from the president of the Rastafari Youth Initiative Council. I'm going to pass it on right back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Ole Madatal. I'm just going to be walking right into a group of, eminent Rastafarians who are all gathered here. Michael Barnett, Dr. Michael Barnett, Ras Miguel Lone, Clinton Hunt. I'm so sorry to interrupt. We're live on air. Miguel, how are you doing?
Blessings, great, nice. Today is Coronation Day. I know the coronation is the start of it. The coronation is the announcement to the world that I am he, Haile Selassie. And that's the great significance of the coronation, why we are all here. Having made that announcement now, we as his children can now hold on to our Father and can continue this great and majestic work.
And Miguel, just what you see unfolding, and talking about continuing the great and majestic work which you want to get to, but what you see unfolding here at Scott's Pass today, on a wider note, considering the upheaval at Scott's Pass in recent times, your own reaction and response to what's happening here today?
There are times when the events overpower the little man and him little thinking. This is so big that a person's personal thinking gets swamped by that. And consequently, the overhauling of the events lift everyone to a level now that we're going to have reasoning later on, and we're going to deal with things that affect the community, how we can enhance the community in so many ways. Because the Rastafari philosophy has also developed. We have learned the things that influence us when we were growing up and so on. We have now been able to transcend some of that and move to another level as our knowledge of Africa, as our knowledge of the for example, the importance of the Nile Valley civilization.
Thank you. Asking like for instance where we transcend.
Which has
all right, Muta, because Miguel is not hearing you. Sorry, Miguel.
Just asking like when you transcend, like what aspect in terms of transcend.
All right, so you said that we have transcended so much. Rastafari has transcended so much. So Muta is asking that such as what?
Like for example, our knowledge now of linking the ancient African traditions, the ancient African principles, long before even the Bible was written. All of that our sages, our thinkers, our young writers that are coming will see how we can codify to help us to streamline the trod, that it will be of benefit to brothers and sisters who don't get the opportunity to be present on a site like this.
So the idea then is how we move forward, how we go forward, and with what tools in terms of knowledge increasing.
I would say I would move forward. One way is to codify the trad. Some point now, it started out as an Irietical trad from 1930, come right up. But like I said, there are many brothers. It has gone now. Argentina, Russia, India, China, all over. So consequently now we need something to guide those brothers and sisters as when we say Rastafari, what it means and what is expected of I and I.
Are you talking about a more centralization of Rastafari?
It has to be. It has to be. You know, the earlier trad was good so that Babylon could not identify any one mansion or any one person or any one group. So in order to kill the movement. But that fragmentation now has to come together as we coagulate towards that mighty crescendo to reflect the principles of Emperor Haile Selassie and Empress Menen.
All right, and I hear you talk, Ras Iyah about codify. Dr. Michael Barnett, how are you doing?
Yes, good morning. Yes, Mr. Kabu. Good morning to all the listeners on Iriefm on this majestic day. It's the 84th anniversary of His Imperial Majesty's crowning. And, you know, the reenactment is really a wondrous ceremony to behold. And it reminds me, Mr. Kabu, of the reenactment that Ras Iyah V did in South Florida in 2005, because I was there. And it was like a theatrical play. The video is not so available, but it's out there. And I'm trying to get Ras Iyah V to duplicate the play with the full props and everything like that. But that is a play that lasts for 4 hours. I don't know if you heard of it. But
I've heard of it. I knew when it was happening too and so on. But and so I saw you here early this morning, so you got here pretty early, or were you here from last night?
Yes, I was here from the early morning hours. I came about 1:30, checking some of the currents, the drumming and the chanting, and it's great. You know, it's a coming together.
On a personal level, how do you feel about what's happening here today?
Well, I think that, as Ras Miguel said, this event is a one of a kind, and it's brought different groups together. The truth is the Nyabinghi mansion has been fractured, but an events and more events like this, I think, will heal those fractures. All right, what I would like to say is just one thing in response to Ras Miguel's comment or centralization. Even though I believe each mansion will keep their separate autonomous identity, we have unity without uniformity. So I don't see realistically we'll have one mansion, but we'll have many mansions, but they must be united by common goals and objectives. That has to happen, and hopefully will happen in the future.
Well, Andrea, and I'm sorry to go on, Miguel. And give me a minute. Oh, let me just say hello to the brother standing right here. Good morning. How you doing?
Greetings, Mr. Kabu.
Your own views on what's going on here?
Well, we're grateful for this, you know, seeing that Iriefm could come here and let the world share with I and I as we celebrate the coronation of His Imperial Majesty. You know, way back in the 20s, Valentine Petersburg, you know, saw himself as the king of kings and his wife Lula May as the queen of queens, you know, and started a consciousnness where man see himself, you know, as the divine, as the Ethiopian monarch. And we see, you know, how well, actually Rogers coming again and looking towards Ethiopian tradition. Then we see Howell and Hibbert come and cricket in the coronation, the glorious coronation that's the birth of the Rastafari, you know. And I actually put together something to commemorate the coronation.
We're not going to be able to do that tonight, and at least not right now, because I have to throw it back to Holy Mother Charles, who is at the kitchen. I know you're with somebody also. Roger has.
Yes.
All right, Oli?
Yes, on the note of unity, I have the secretary of the Ancient Council of the Nyabinghi Jr., who's going to talk a little bit about how he feels with all the hard work he's been putting in these past few days.
Yeah, well, you know, give thanks to the Iriefm Coronation 84, you know. Bless everyone that is here, bless everyone who's listening globally, you know. The fire have to burn. As you can see right now, the fire set really high and plenty of wood still left to burn. And we are burn out wickedness in high and low places while we gather all the children of the Most High in peace and love and one unity, one focus, one destiny, one creator, Emperor Haile Selassie, the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering Lion of Tribe of Judah, crown 1930, and this day the original Sunday, So we give thanks to everyone, Bahle, Jeddah, Nati Jeddah, Saman, everyone. Just giving Isaiah, because the King for all, a remnant of every nation shall come unto this King of Kings and give their eyes, so it's just one perfect love.
All right. You got to say something about Empress Menen.
Yeah, Empress Menen is the balance, of course, because, she bears one of the greatest oppression, beside the fact that the black man was the big slave and the one that them tried to deceive. They also been deceiving Empress Menen from even before they start deceiving the man by trying to eliminate all of our works, Big up Empress Menen, who really was the backbone of His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, who built the temple for the Ark of the Covenant, who built so many chapels and schools, Empress Menen, love you.
All right, thank you. Right back at you, Andrea. And Kabu.
Thank you very much. You're so holy, Ancestral. And I know that, Roger, you were actually standing with a group of persons just now. But we're going to go through and talk with those who are standing alone. Muta, once again, it is a steady stream of persons coming in. And I think that we're going to see, we have lots of people here right now. But I think before the day is out, we're going to be having difficulty. We probably should be saying the people park outside from now.
Yeah, well, look here now. In the night is when our people come in. The chanting reach at levels in the night. The chanting become like so vibrant. So a whole lot of people know, say, at the night, But, I mean, the day is very large.
Exactly. So for those persons who are coming in, just know that we really do have a very large crowd here at the Scots Pass Nyabinghi Tabernacle. The chanting is happening inside of a tabernacle. I don't know if the tabernacle can hold anymore, but we know that there's an overflow.
No, the tabernacle can't hold anymore inside.
Tabernacle can't hold anymore, but there's an overflow and persons all the way from the gate up. My brother, how are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
And you have been coming here for how long?
It's my first time here at the Bingi Hall in Scots Pass.
Right, where are you from originally?
Originally, living in Central Quebec.
All right. So what are your thoughts about what you see happening here today?
It's the fullness of Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia. 84 years since Christ revealed his kingdom character, Rastafari. And Christ is one. And any other Christ is the Antichrist.
And I just see you right here, just holding a medal, just holding a steady medal, as they say.
Yes, very steady. But steady medal is that right now, as I'm here at Scots Pass, the Emperor revealed himself unto I on the 6th of October, 1940. And he revealed himself unto I with all his children in front, and he was behind. And this is the final moment, or the final year for Jamaica to come to the realization that Christ is one, and we have to live together as one. We are Christ in his kingly character, sons and daughters of the Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia. So we are his children, and our national anthem is what it is, and we are to live our national anthem.
Thank you very much, my brother. No, we're going to have to go because we have to throw it back to Ole Matatal, Ole, and also to Mutabaruka as we come to you live from the Scots Pass Nyabinghi Center. Who are you with there now, Ole?
I'm here with Sister Yaman, and she's going to tell us how beautiful she feels to be here today.
Well, for me, it's wonderful because having listening to Running African and reading things about accounting, it's so unique because even before I left home, I was saying to my children, it's only in our culture that a male and a female was crowned the same day. And because of the beautification of here, the ambience, I should say, is wonderful. So I am so glad that I'm here, seeing all the different colors, listening to the chant, but most importantly, getting a better understanding. All right, Oli, I'm gonna interrupt a minute. Oli Madison, I'm interrupting a minute, just to throw back to the Tabernacle and the proceedings that's happening.
Shall be here with a gift. Even the rich among the people shall entreat thy favor. The king's daughter is all glorious divine. Her clothing is of wrought gold. She shall be brought unto the king in raiment of needlework. The virgins, her companions that follow her, shall be brought unto thee. With gladness and rejoicing shall they be brought. They shall enter into the king's palace. Instead of thy fathers shall be thy children, whom thou mayst make princes in all the earth. And the 17th and closing verse. I will make thy name to be remembered in all generations. There shall the people praise thee for ever and ever.
Clap your hands, all you people. As the psalm was completed, the Abuna anointed the Empress, one of the sacred rites of anointing, to be used before the bestowal of each of the symbols of her coronation. The bishop of the southern province then made the first offering, a diamond encrusted ring of exquisite beauty and craftsmanship, which he handed to the Abuna for its blessing.
Aba Shanti Satamatagana, Tetragramatan, Sabiamos, by the Father, by the Son, and the Holy Spirit, blessed be.
As the bishop approached the Empress and placed the ring on her finger, he said, "Let your face shine even as these jewels upon your fingers." Her imperial vestment was then brought by the bishop of the Northern Church to the Abuna for his blessing. The bishop approached the Empress for her investiture.
Oh, what a glory!
There is Mutabaruka with that frankincense and myrrh. There is some spirit in the house. Oh, when
A really, really, really beautiful day. A really beautiful day at Scott Farms. A very spiritual day. A very somber day. A beautiful day. And one of the things that I keep saying, and I'm going to say again this morning before we go, is that I am very happy that I came today. This is really, really something that we would not want to miss. Right, Roger, I see you nodding there. This is really something.
Yes, indeed, because, a lot of people, especially those who are not of the understanding, might be hearing this on the radio and, as usual, having a lot of negative things to say. But
I hope some positive.
But I suffice it to say, I'm saying that we are as good as the information and the intelligence that we have at the moment.
Yes.
And once we begin to understand about their symbolism and their certain traditions, especially from an ancient point of view, which certain people continue to manifest and to maintain. Those are new information that we need to collect as a people. So, positive. So I'm hoping that they also get the positive as well.
And you know what, Andrea, when it comes to Rastafari in Jamaica, it represents what the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement in America represents for Black people. Rasta is what has torn down the walls of all types of oppression and injustice. So it doesn't matter who you are in Jamaica, you have to acknowledge the role that Rastafari plays in the country and in building the consciousness of the world.
And I also have to understand that what is happening now is that these are a set of people who are the keepers of an ancient tradition, and we cannot forget that.
That's one. We see the anciency unfolding right here on the ground, at the Tabernacle ground. We see that anciency unfolding, and sometimes you don't always get to see it in the fullness which we're seeing it unfolding today, because we might pass by Nyabinghi and go to Nyabinghi, and it's only the heart. But today, it is the anciency in all its glory that we're seeing unfolding, and it really brings home seriously the extent to which the retention, the Ethiopic retention, is right here on the ground. And in Jamaica, I've been to Ethiopia. I've been to a lot of rituals. I've been to a lot of church services. I've seen a lot in terms of experiencing the churchical aspect element of Ethiopia and Ethiopic culture. And this, you could take this up and put it down anywhere in Ethiopia, and it would fit right in terms of the ancient, in terms of the rituals that we see unfolding here today.
Well, you know, Kabu, they say you can take an African out of Africa, but you can never take Africa out of the African.
Yeah.
Quite true.
And it's no coincidence that 84 years ago, almost all the major superpowers were represented at the coronation of His Majesty, and they all acknowledge the anciency, that the ancient monarch is the oldest monarch, and that is why it is such a significant happening.
And we see that here. You know, we have so many questions on the social media, Roger and Atal, and so many people texting and Facebook really asking about how long this function is going to go on, how long people are going to hear, because people are just hearing us to those persons who didn't leave out early this morning. People are getting ready to leave home now and want to know, if I leave from Kingston, if I leave from St. Mary, if I leave from Westmoreland, will you be here all night? How long is this going on at time?
We're going on until not tomorrow Monday, the other Monday, which is the 10th. Right, but naturally we'll be here. More of us will be here until tomorrow morning.
So the function that we see in high gear right now, for persons who are leaving home from the four corners or the six corners of Jamaica, they can leave and come.
Wherever they're coming from, because after the reenactment, we're going into discussion in terms of where do we go from here.
Let me ask you what's happening there, because I see Ras Iyah, I think, with the replica of the crown that's going around there, but there are some artifacts going around. I see Ras Iyah V behind, Mutabaruka behind with the incense. What's happening there?
Well, the reenactment of the coronation of the Empress has just taken place. Like Muta was pointing out to you, that traditionally
the emperor used the crown, and then weeks after the empress crown. On the 30th, on the 2nd of November 1930, the emperor and the empress was thrown one. So that is just the final stage of the reenactment of the coronation.
Boy, you're giving me, look here, you're giving me good pimples. That's right. This is really something else. It's brilliant. What are some of the artifacts that we see going around there?
Okay, one, you have the crown for the emperor and the empress, and those are just indications we have made in. All right, you have the two lances, the two rings, all right, because I managed to get two rings, one for the left, one for the right hand. Right, you have the sword, and you have the vestment, several ornaments. Right. But to bring the Kabu, I really want to give thanks to Iriefm being here, right? And I hope that other ones, Rastafari, Brethren and Sisters out here, will realize that they need to be here between now and tomorrow morning, especially because the whole time it's reasoning and chanting, right? Because being here, Kabu, we want to be in our position stronger than when we came here.
I do not doubt, I have no doubt that that is going to happen today, because I can see that. The energy that is there, the spirit that is there, I don't know, it is a beautiful spirit. Absolutely. There are issues I'm thinking of. Absolutely. I don't want to go into any details. So you don't have to, because we know there are issues, but I'm saying the spirit that everybody come here with, most people, is a beautiful spirit today. Beautiful spirit, Ras Iyah V.
I think they are here for a cause. Normally used to this. Right? So they are here for a cause. And it's I and I, with the leadership of the Nyabinghi house, have to make sure that leading here, that cause is somewhat satisfied.
And I really do hope that we do not, at the end of this, allow the Babylonian system, politicians, and others to infiltrate what is about to develop into something beautiful, because this is what they do not want. If this happens, then they are in danger.
You know, it's got to be about unity right now. We have to make sure
among Rastafari, I be, because this is where, this is it.
You remember I said to you a week ago about the type of reading that we are going to have in regard to where do I and Rastafari go, where the herb industry is concerned. I tell you, I and I, we're not going to open the smallest loophole, Kabu, the next any form of infiltration takes place. And if you think it's joke, watch it.
I don't think it's joke, because you see, if that happens, then that is the end of that. You know, this is a brilliant moment, a brilliant time to make it happen, and we know that they're all afraid of what's happening here today. Every house of Rastafari is represented here. Every mansion of Rastafari is represented here, and people have come with a spirit of unity and life all over the world. A spirit of togetherness and a spirit of love. I haven't seen this in a while. So we're going to hold this. My brother, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. I'm Kabu. I am Ras Walker. I'm otherwise Clinton Maxwell. I'm a political president from the Nyabinghi house. I'm former treasurer. And I like the vibes that I'm seeing here. Everyone is together in a humble way, no ill manners, no one is disturbing anything. And it's a perfect order right here. And I'm just hailing up my mother, Evelyn Maxwell, and I am a sister of mine by Sharon Martin, and a sister of mine by Yannick White in Jahlani. So give thanks.
Give thanks, my brother. Give thanks. Who are you doing? What's that?
One love again. One love. One destiny.
Give thanks. Give thanks.
Papa and Mama. And the 84th anniversary. Respect. Yeah, you look at it like a couple. You get the letter here. Yeah, I want to call me when you're ready to find it. That is good news because people are fighting in the upper part of the car. They are at the brink of here to too much. When they see the work of the world and turn around. So I give thanks to the power and I give thanks to the beautiful anniversary.
This is what you call for, Marshan. Do you remember this is what you call for? You remember what you call for this?
Yes. And it comes to cards in breaking, and then from them go and more to come. And then I went to speak with these 7 countries now and tell them what to do. And that copy that you have,
Yeah. You put that copy in the place. You have to go and see first, that's it. All right, you come right there, Muta.
Yeah, I'll tell you what was happening a while ago.
All right, Marshall, give me a minute. Let me just talk to Muta. Muta is just coming from inside the tabernacle. And yes, go ahead, Muta.
Yeah, you know that the Emperor and the Empress was crowned at the same day. Well, what is taking place now is the procession with the Empress crown. So they go around, we have the incense, we go right around the tabernacle, and then they're going to symbolically place the crown, the Empress crown on her head, right beside the crown, the symbolic crown of Haile Selassie. So that is what the chant is about.
All right. Yeah, because I saw you going around like that, Muta, and I was I was asking to Iyah V at the same time to say what exactly was happening there. But that in itself, as part of the reenactment, that is, and you mentioned earlier, Muta, that for the Emperor Haile Selassie, crowning the Empress was very, very important.
Yeah, because it wasn't done. It's never usually done until weeks after.
Yes. All right, so we just
decided that he wanted to crown the Empress right beside him on the same day.
All right, nice.
So that is what the next jubilation is all about here, the chanting that is going on.
That is going on right now.
That's going on right now.
Kabu and Muta, I have a young lady here. She's doing some documenting and filming. Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning. My name is Noriko.
And where are you from?
From Japan, the River Scotland.
And tell me about the significance of you being here this morning.
Oh, it's so nice and glad to be here. So taking so many people coming down today. So proud,
And what are your thoughts on the activities that are taking place now, the whole reenactment of the crowning of Emperor Haile Selassie 84 years ago? What are your impressions on the event so far?
The coronation being, so people are so proud and get celebrate.
And so you're documenting it for a specific purpose?
Not really, but I want to try, So never people get it, so you have to try to let it down. We have to look funny. So,
all right, thank you.
All right, I'm going to throw it back, Shane, just before we take the break. I'm going to throw it back to the tabernacle.
In silence, and then handed it back to the opinion.
All right, let us take a quick break, and we come right back to the tabernacle at Scott's Pass. A quick break. As you rejoin us at the tabernacle at Scott's Pass, standing now with two brethren. Who am I speaking to?
Ras Iyah.
Ras Iyah, are you taking part in the proceedings here? Are you one of the priests?
Yeah, I presented the sword.
The Empress.
All right, we're going to come back to you. Let us just listen to what's happening in the tabernacle.
Smile with her in signs of gratification. Empress Nana, the Queen of Queens. Let us rejoice and chant together.
All right, as we come back.
Nana, the Queen of Queens.
So while the chant continues in the background, you said you presented the sword. Explain to us what took place then, how did that happen, what did you do?
Let us rejoice and chant today.
I just went through the procedure like it was. The 2nd of November 1930. I chant the psalms that was chanted and that specific day. And as I'm a little bit showing in the Amharic, I did it in the Amharic song.
Let us rejoice and chant today.
Is it okay to do it again? Is it Amharic?
Masganam, Xavier Kadamawe, Haile Selassie, Udos Neges, Kanya Mulu Elam, Abasino Yemitanor Besamai, Semai Karel Zemidaro, Mengishti Iriefm Lazala Highland, Batanazare, Yoretin Yara, Akara Delan Melina Rasnam in the Malakara Habajalana.
She was born.
And your name?
My name is Jennifer Rastafari.
And Bongo Donovan, did you participate in the event here?
Yes, I hold and take it to the altar.
Explain to us what happened while you were doing that. How did that proceeding go?
Right and I to mark and the first of the Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie V. We honor him and adore him while we do this.
She was proud.
So the replica of the heart of the covenant was handed to you by whom? And then what did you do?
Was given my hand threw it into the crowd.
She was proud.
Here I take it and put it back on the altar.
And can you tell me what is on the altar? Anything else apart from the altar of the covenant that's on the altar?
You have the crown, you have the sword, and you have the scepter, you have the ark of the covenant, the scepter, and the sword, and the crown, and the ring that are.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you so much. This is really such a beautiful day. Really, such a beautiful day. Roger, I know you can't be taking pictures and meeting and everything at the same time. We're trying to manage social media. We're doing our best. We're posting, we're tweeting, we're Facebooking, we're doing our best. Yes.
We are doing what is the search. The information out.
Yes. Well, Roger, I mean, this is really something to say.
Yes, just for the symbolic crowning of her Majesty, Empress, Menen, and it's also quite symbolic in its own right, bearing in mind that this was a unique, the first time this would have happened in the whole history of the monarch, you know, and quite unique, quite a unique experience as we're seeing.
And we're very happy to have our sometimes host. You came on usually, you know, I've been heavily on my friend and brother Mutabaruka, but we're putting triple duties.
Yes, because we can't just come here as an announcer, right?
Exactly.
We have to have the duty to go on and we didn't take money.
We're very happy for that, because the time you go and give us an idea as to what is happening inside.
Well, what happened now is that the Empress was just crowned. So the chant is going up now for the Empress. This is a song to the Empress. And it mentioned the Empress is the Queen of Queens. It's very important. And it's a pity them, you know, about the character. You could say the checking of the crown, the scepter, the sword, and all the different pieces that was added to the Emperor. When you were born, all of them is on the altar inside, you know.
And we really have to apologize to the on the internet at Iriefm down there, but just generally that we're not able to live stream. But as I was saying earlier, Muja, I heard it on the program Thursday from a caller who said that this was happening in Rastafari, and so that gave us just a day to get ourselves here. Because we knew that this could not have been going on and we were here.
Of course, you know, Iriefm, you know, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. If we don't think about it, that's right, you know.
That's the point.
And we're talking about the whole wide world, you know, in terms of reenactment and
well, what I'm getting so much camera here, there's no way that I see it on YouTube.
And all the other people praise the Lord of Lords. You're going to see live stream. I mean, recorded stream and fight show. And we're glad for the work that Ras Manga is doing here, because he's also been very, very busy recording. But like Muja said, lots of cameras, lots of filming that's happening.
Right, that's true. I mean, apart from the school, where you see with the iPad and tablets, and tablets, so you can't take them again and put no shit, you know. The laptop, but right, that's all. It's well documented. It's well documented.
Andrea, I'm here with Miss Camp, Mama Camp, who's here granting our presents with her lovely present.
Go ahead. Is there anything?
So how do you feel the 84th coronation?
I tell you, feeling, just walking on the ground and feeling the vibes, and seeing how the elders, and the ancients, the empresses, and all the royal brothers and sisters. It's a wonderful thing.
Well, thank you, Miss Campbell. We know you're here representing Capleton.
I was going to ask you, only to ask you, where is the fireman?
They want to know where's the fireman.
Nobody can represent nobody right now, so everybody has to represent
Musa
themselves.
said nobody can represent nobody. Everybody knows where's the fireman.
No, you know what? Very well. I represent the fireman.
This is not an album launch. This is not a virtual reading. This is Rastafari. So nobody can represent the individual. You have to represent yourself.
I think we put her on the spot, Musa.
No, but give it that to that day.
No, should be here. Not only for Capleton, and most of the reggae artists, they sing about reggae, but they don't walk the walk. We're tired of people just talking and talking. We need to see you walk the walk and talk the talk.
All right, we're going to turn back to the Tabernacle.
The son of the Union knelt at His Imperial Majesty's feet. The Archbishop accosted him in a very stern and authoritative manner. Rastafari, are you willing to serve your father, the Emperor, throughout your life?
Aware as I am of the golden maxim, honor thy father and thy mother with all thy heart. I dedicate myself to the service of my father.
Are you willing, regardless of what evildoers and outlaws might do, and suffer the consequences, to respect the laws and decrees issued by your father, the Emperor's House of Parliament?
I have been told that he who betrays his father is cursed and deserves to be doomed to death. I will to the best of my abilities guard myself against association with such people, and I will never plot against my father.
Will you take great care not to associate with those who, in defiance, like Absalom, and in hurry and anxiety, like Adonias, may ill advise you to plot against your father, the Emperor?
Whatever laws or decrees that my father has and will have issued, I am willing to observe.
The Crown Prince, having made his vows of loyalty, was then addressed by his father, the Emperor, who stretched forth his scepter and said, "May God make you heir to my power, authority, throne, and crown."
Amen. As you have said, so let it be.
He went forward and kissed the Emperor's hand. The Archbishop stood before the Emperor, gave the pledge of loyalty on his own behalf and of the church. He kissed the Emperor's shoulders and took his seat.
All right, so at this segment, what's happening here is this about the Crown Prince, of course, taking various vows, and it's interesting just listening.
And that's another symbolic happening, reenactment.
Yes, and then, makes you want to draw upon history and just think about what happened later on in terms of the unfolding of Ethiopian history. But yes, this is another element. Yes, Jahlani, you've been out and about and also listening.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment about the Nyabinghi. The celebration is happening within the Nyabinghi HQ at Scotts Park. But the Nyabinghi generally is perhaps the most inclusive celebration within Rastafari. Versions of Nyabinghi occur within all the mansions. So for those who don't feel invited, there is no need for a special invitation.
Oh, because nobody invited us.
Precisely. The Nyabinghi is the spirit of those who come and endure.
Jahlani, this is not sting some special people. This is not Jahlani birthday party, you know. You have to get no invitation for coming. This Rasta. You're invited.
Well, I heard your comment, Muta, and part of the reason why I said what I said is that when the media announces that the Nyabinghi Center at Scotts Park is holding a coronation, those who are not attuned to what the Nyabinghi is, some of what we are experiencing, Musa, is genuine ignorance. There are many artists who don't know the core of Rastafari.
There are many artists, most artists get up on the stage and say, Nyabinghi only Emmanuel Rastafari.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that we need to provide a platform to ensure that people don't feel excluded, even though I know that this is inclusive. The ones who have never been here, I mean, Sister Andrea said she appreciated being here, and those who are here to experience what it is.
Jahlani,
so that is not everything.
I don't want to be apologized.
It's not everything.
I don't want to be apologized.
I'm with you, Muta.
We're not apologize.
I'm with you, Muta.
No,
You don't have to be invited.
You're messing on, man. Yes, you're messing on. This is the coronation of Haile Selassie's coronation, right? There's no other event that is taking place or Rasta than this.
But I think there is one at
we're not saying the coronation. No.
Okay, all right.
No, we're not. I am saying a coronation reenactment. There's no other group of Rasta that is keep at coronation reenactment. All right. We're not talking about no 12 tribes. We're not talking about Bobo. We're talking about the artists them. If 12 tribe was keeping a thing up there and them say artists, we have to whole heap of artists go here to see if them can do one thing. If Kabu did announce that she going to have a couple of artists on this, we have to whole heap of artists come and say them going to do one thing. This is no invitation. If I use Rasta, it's just if you feel inclusive or inclusive. Because if you didn't know, so was that a good stage you keep, you'd have come. You wouldn't feel no way to come.
And what belies the invitation is the presence of Chronixx and Kelissa.
Chronixx is here, Chronixx is a youth. It's like the
artistic man, someone and yourself.
You can't count for one and how much reggae artists are. And when show keep, and when you call them to do show, you see 1,000 artists want to come do even one song, and there is Rasta, and them ball out Nyabinghi on the stage, and them ball out Holy Emmanuel, and nothing.
Because Rasta has become a male city.
Yes.
It has become a male city.
No. Has largely been something unadvertised, something that the family observed based on a cycle that them know. And even for myself, I had to be taken to an Nyabinghi by an elder. I am saying that we must understand that it is not necessarily something people just like to fall into without an appropriate induction. And I'm saying that we need to be sensitive.
Well, it's the fall
like Chronixx,
them going to fall down if they fall.
Truly, like Chronixx. And those that you've mentioned have been consistent.
I think you're just being a little bit too lenient.
Well, all the matter says you're being a little bit too lenient.
I think you're being too lenient.
And those individuals,
yes, the people who are with grassroots, who are with the movement, they're going to be here.
To be fair to Jahlani, what he said is that this is not an invitation event.
It's not an invitation
event. So that's what he said, right? So that
you're not connected to the grassroots. You're not connected to the movement. If you're connected to Rastafari, you're not going to know what's going on. So it goes to show you the disconnection of some of these artists.
Okay, is that little sister said that? Okay.
Well,
and Kabu agree with her.
Yes, I do agree with her. She's talking about the disconnection. The disconnect. If you're disconnected from Rastafari, if there's a disconnect between you as, say, a Rastafarian and Rastafari, then you would not know about this.
And watch out. But they know about it. You know, you say what you name the country represents Cape Town. You know,
no, she never said that.
She said you represent Cape Town.
No, we cannot put her on the spot.
No, she said she's here and represent Cape Town. Is that to say? Olamati. It's not that you say. No, seriously, it's not that you say.
I asked her, you asked me where, no, you said it figured out the context.
No, what is the context?
I think we just put her on the spot.
No, she's here, but when asked about Cape Town, she said she represents Cape Town.
All right, yeah, that's the context.
The point I'm making, though, is that we have a situation where this is the first time we're having a broadcast of a coronation celebration.
Yes.
It also has reenactment in there.
Yes.
We have a young generation of artists who actually need this connection in order to make their own trust.
One to the older generation of Rasta were artists.
With
them there.
That's why what we said
that's about the younger artists now. We're talking about artists who are in a Sizzla age group. Chronixx in a young, we have Chronixx in a young age group. So one to the artists who are in a Sizzla age group, where every day it's hear them and say, Holy Emmanuel, Rastafari, Nyabinghi, with them there. We're not apologizing to Jahlani.
I'm saying that this is a good start, and I'm sure we're going to see the impact.
All right, watch out. Let me tell you something.
I'm so sorry that
you know.
We have to go for a break.
Yeah, you know. When you keep something about the university, put it into culture and Rasta, and things, none of the artists know that they need that.
Speak the truth.
Don't answer
Jahlani. I'm saving you. Let's go for a quick break. We're going for a quick break. I'll be right back.
Is the champion?
Shane. We thought it was a promo, right, Muta? So we stopped talking. Thank you so much, Shane, for that. We are in the final 5 to 6 minutes of the broadcast, but long after we leave here, the reenactment, the celebrations continue right into tonight and then again into tomorrow. But Muta, just by way, and Olematasal Roger, just by way of wrapping up, this was and is, because it continues to be so, a historic moment.
Yeah, well, definitely. You know, I mean, this is where Rasta decide and agree upon one thing, that here is the redeemer of the black people. And the crowning of Empress and wife, ushering a new era in a black people understanding of self. Because years after now, we have a group of one named Rastafari. We have continued this journey. And this journey continues all over the globe, even to people who never called. You understand? So we recognize this as important, and we recognize the symbolism of it, and we hope that one-on-one who's here and work upon them computer and them iPad now will spread the message to the, what them call it, work,
to the social media,
and make people understand and see how important it is.
But the one thing, because we're surrounded by so many people, because this is really a big crowd here at Scott's Park. Let me just go through it quickly before we do our final wrap-up, and just to get a few hellos and shout-outs and names and so on from the persons who are standing around. Greetings, my brother.
Greetings, sis.
What's your name?
Right, McFarlane.
Where are you coming from?
Coming from Menen.
All right, give thanks, my brother. Greetings.
Greetings. Good morning.
What's your name?
Davis, and call me English.
Where are you coming from?
Town.
Town meaning where?
Portmore.
Okay, I told him I come from. Hey, greetings.
No, Rastafari. Ras Iyah coming from Manchester, which is thanks for this Iowa, this moment. And we know that His Majesty always speaks of stress and education. And in this time, when education is so important, His Majesty says that all youth is take part and take advantage of the benefits. Good morning, my name is Koyan.
Where are you coming from?
I'm from Nathan, Western Park here. It's a privilege to be here. It's a nice turnout and I like the atmosphere. I'm Bongo Teddy in the Bingi House, just for Selassie in the Orthodox Church. I'm from Mineralites, here to glorify the King, reenactment foundation.
Ethiopian Orthodox Church represented. Greetings.
Greetings.
Boy, you kind of look like his mother.
I'm a father. Yes, I'm a father, man. King of Kings, you know what I mean? Prince Matthew.
Where are you coming from, Prince Matthew?
Richest, a.k.a. Poor. Prince of the King, we would avoid that stranger because look like the King, you know. We try to imitate the King in every aspect of life. So I say,
you're born away there.
no, the King revealed himself in our personality for a reason. So I say,
we see you, man. We see you. Greetings, my brother.
Greetings.
What's your name?
Polita Williams.
And you're coming from?
Santa Cruz and Liquid. I'm on the same have no peanut for me, you know.
Which one? All right, okay.
Yeah, peanut.
Okay, this one goes. Greetings, Mr. Kabu. What's your name?
Winsome Allen.
And you're coming from?
From Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth.
All right, I recognize your name. Greetings.
Oakton Charlton. Wonderful.
All right, give thanks. Who will leave out?
Greetings, I'm coming from Travertown. But Selassie, in a uniform like this most time, only the shoes may black.
Yes, I'm sure.
Selassie black, his spirit.
Yes, you look like him, doesn't it? Yeah, man.
Everything.
Morning, Sandra.
What's your name?
Mark Daly.
And you're coming from?
All the way from Kingston.
All right, welcome. Who are leaving out here? Okay, greetings.
Greetings, Kabu.
Name?
Firestone from Richards, you know. Tell them to go change their name.
So you leave it right there. Greetings, my brother.
Greetings, Devil Williams on Colgate.
Yeah, Percival is from Gravel. Probably from Washington, man.
Right, I'm in the era Muta where mainly men are, so the women are suffering. Women are suffering. What's your name?
That's Shirley.
And you're coming from?
I'm Lionel Toll in Clarendon.
All right. Greetings, my sister.
Greetings, sister. I'm David Bolton.
Where are you coming from?
Hey.
All right, give thanks.
I have someone from this community.
Okay, it's a very good day.
All right,
everybody here tonight represents the Scots Pass, yes, because everybody Ras Mikey, Money, Fair, Mommy, Daddy, all right, Mom signing out.
Yes.
What's your name? How old are you, Kenny?
6 years old.
Okay, are you enjoying it?
Yes.
I think if you listen, I'm enjoying it, I give thanks. What's your name? Chica, and you, where are you coming from? Same Fair, good to meet you, Chica. Hello, my brother.
Bless the love, my sister. Rastafari. God pass Nyabinghi Center.
I shot that over the selection was and shot that. She rode from there. Okay, that's shy.
Hold on, sir.
First time to be in the book. I really give thanks. I love it, you know. And also give thanks to Norisha because you are my teacher. You are Muta.
Good to see you, my brother. Good to see you, and thank you.
Greetings, Dr. Kabu. Very much greetings to see you. And it's a delight pleasure speaking to you.
What's your name?
That's Billy.
And you coming from?
Scott Park.
All right.
Kabu.
All right, yes. Greetings,
I was a dentist doctor, you know.
I like the way that sounds, Dr. Kabu.
What's your name?
Aishwa.
Actually, you've been here. Well, yeah, you've been here for a little while because you came in a long time ago. What do you think about what happened here? What's happening here today?
It's truly educational, inspirational, and just bring it back to the groundation of Rastafari. It's a wonderful experience.
All right, so we're not asking Ancestral because I got Ancestral doing it. All right.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, and you?
I would love to say hello to my sister over in Linstead and the rest of Rastafari Bridging in Linstead. I'm Jabir, the roots man.
All right, Jabir, the roots man is there. So,
yes. So like how you thought.
We're completely out of time. Any final words from you, Olimatata?
I just want to say this is a very historic occasion, and it fits the 84th commemoration of Coronation, which represents balance. And let's continue to move forward in balance, in unity, and in love.
Roger?
Yeah, great experience with the fire keep burning, and it's just a wonderful feeling to know that we have a set of people in Jamaica who are maintaining an ancient tradition, and it's great to posterity, and great for us to continue during this present time as well. So very good.
Yeah, Shane, I know that you're really sorry that you're not here, but it's not too late, Shane. You can still jump in the vehicle and come down till tomorrow morning, but you can't get tomorrow. You can still come down. I'm going to
get tomorrow.
No,
you should get tomorrow. Well, because it's justice, Rastafari, everybody hears that about justice, so we want to live with a code from His Majesty. His Majesty said, there will be no peace until there's equal rights and justice. And a lot of people don't know that was a quote from His Majesty that has been perpetuated by Peter Tasha. There will be no peace until there's equal rights and justice.
All right, this is how we're leaving it. Ever since we've been driven yesterday, I've been Genesis 49 verse 10 on my mind. The chapter shall not depart from
Judah. I'll give up from between his feet until Shiloh come to him shall together in our feet.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you
so this is 49.
Verse 10.
Yes.
Yes.
Isaac talking to him 12 sons.
Yes. Israel
talking to him 12 sons and left out him daughter.
So yes, the daughter left out of that.
Biblical scholar.
Yeah. All right, this is how we're wrapping things up from here. Thanks to the team, our hardworking team on the ground, including Ricardo Powell, our chief engineer on the ground here today, Irvin Duwan. Greetings. I thought we don't get a name. And also Rahu Imatep Kimet Bar. I am Kabu at Kheru. And
I am Roger Haspel.
And he's Mutabaruka.
And I am Erwin Makatel.
Until next time, we're making way now for the big A inside of his Sunday Sunshine. Thank you very much, Shane. And in the studio, Errington, also Cuban. Thank you very much. See you next time.